Welcome to this week's edition of the Swider Insider. I'm your host, Rusty Lindsay, joined with head football coach Mike Swider. Coach, your team comes off a fairly convincing 52-13 victory over WashU. Certainly one that probably cleanses the palate a little bit from the year before, but that first quarter is as impressive of 15 minutes as we've seen your team play this year, and that's saying something after the second half they had against North Central.
Yeah, that was a sweet one, and it sort of fed into it. They're a football team that tries to run plays every 10 seconds, and so if you're not really successful and you're going in and out every 10 seconds, it's providing the opposition, which is Wheaton, an opportunity to score a lot. And then we had a block punt in there, and before you knew it, it was a lot to a little. But yeah, there was you've heard me say many times that you never try to play for revenge reasons, but it does motivate you just to play well. And our kids remember, and I challenge them to remember the feeling riding home from WashU last year for that 5 hours on the bus, as when we lost down there and obviously squandered a playoff and conference championship opportunity. And so I said, you just got to remember that feeling, and you have an opportunity not to feel that again. And so that, besides the fact that they are legitimately playing for an undefeated conference title this year, had them motivated, and they started fast and finished well.
Yeah, it seemed to really get out of control faster than you thought. You look at the drives, they had 4 3-and-outs there in the first quarter. None of their possessions went over 2 minutes. 3 of them were barely over a minute. Meanwhile, 3 of your scoring drives were a minute or less. So it just seemed to happen so fast, and every phase seemed to feed off the other, and it's by the time we hit the end of the first quarter, the game had been in hand.
Well, and the other thing is they're not only running plays in 10 seconds, they're throwing the ball. So if you're throwing incompletions, literally it's seconds off the clock. You might knock 15 seconds of play off, and it's a minute, and your series is done. And so, we'll talk about Augustana here in a minute, but I think you're going to see sort of an opposite as we speak to them, an opposite mentality I think that they're going to bring into the game.
You went into the game saying you've got to do a good job of keeping a steady rush. You guys have to rush together and as a team. They got to the quarterback a lot. I believe it was 7 sacks on the night. But do you feel like you guys accomplished that and really kept him in the pocket the way you wanted to?
No doubt. He's a guy that, as I said, he's a Division III Russell Wilson type kid, and you get him out there, he creates. He's really a strong kid, and he throws the ball on the run really well, and he finds open windows. And we had to make sure that our ends didn't let him out, and then we had a vertical push on him, and we did that, and he struggled to block us, and so it led to a lot of incompletions.
There's certainly no doubt that your front four has been maybe one of the best in the country so far this year, and we've talked a lot on the broadcast, at least with Dallas McCray. But what have you seen him, 54, be able to make the jump that he has this year, where he's absolutely dominating play every week?
Well, you knew he had it in him all along. I remember watching a kid in high school, and obviously went to Utah to play as a scholarship athlete, but he's an unbelievably explosive kid, and he's strong and he's athletic. And but I think the thing that you see him playing with this year is there's like a joy. He's like a kid out there, and the other thing is which I think is a byproduct of that is he finishes plays. A lot of times you see big D linemen, the play goes away and they'll sort of pass it on to somebody else. But Dallas is, as all our defensive linemen are, because they can run, they're not giving up on plays just because a play's not in their area of responsibility. They are finishing plays outside of that area. And I think when you see Dallas, he's playing from snap to whistle, and he's playing with a young kid's love of the game and joy, and I think it all add that to his physical gifts. And kid's unblockable right now. He really is. He's unblockable.
We went into the year thinking Pat O'Connell was really going to be the star of this defensive line, and by the time we reached pregame of North Central, we said we want to call his name more often, and we see him with another 2 sacks. What have you, this week against WashU, what have you seen with Pat kind of upping his game and seemingly getting a little better each week to where he's starting to show what we saw a lot in the last few years?
And a lot of it sometimes is not reflected in stats. Sometimes Corey Kennedy came up to me at the end of the game and, was he the last few weeks saying, I'm not playing well. And I said, why? He says, because I'm not getting any tackles. I'm saying, well, not necessarily playing well.
Guys aren't letting the guy get to you.
Yeah, and the same thing goes a little bit. Sometimes people run a certain way. Their run game goes a certain way, or Pat lines up on a tight end side a lot, and so they're chipping off on the kid, and we set him to that side, and and then River doesn't get a lot of plays. Well, they're running the other way, and before you know it, they're all playing well.
Well, it's hard to put a whole lot into a game where you have it decided so early. But again, more valuable snaps for Jeremiah Tucker as the game goes on. But you also went deep at the running back spot. We saw a great game from Will Smith. We saw the freshman Kyle Carter get a lot of carries. That's a talented room that you have with the running backs there, and it's not just the headliner with TJ.
Oh, there's no doubt. Obviously Stone went down to a concussion, and then, TJ rolled his ankle, and Singleton went into the game with a rolled ankle, and so on the depth chart, number 4 was out there rushing for 120 yards in half a football game or so. And so, there's some dudes out there, and they're playing hard and they're running hard, and you can see at that position why you need depth, because the beating it takes. And so, even when they're healthy, if you're not rotating kids through there, you're probably signing off on a disaster that's going to happen down the road.
A lot of these top teams in the country have that guy, that number 1, but not a whole lot of teams have the 1 through 4 and even 5 that we saw with that depth.
With Kyle Carter, absolutely. There's some kids there that can play, and that's good. They're getting experience and trying to eliminate hits on them, and hopefully they can play a long time.
Well, running the ball, no stranger to your opponent this week with Augustana, and this is a series that has swung wildly your direction. You've won 12 in a row, but this is a very improved Augustana team. What do you see being their biggest difference from last year to this year?
Well, they're starting 16 seniors. That. Let's just say that you're a college coach here. When you're 22, you're probably better than you are when you're 18, generally speaking, and then that they've been around, they've been in a system, so they learn the system. They're more mature, they're more physical, they're more confident. They've bonded together, as a team, and so you add all that up, and they're going to be better. You don't see a lot of football teams with 16 seniors that are not decent, at least decent. When you see a team struggling, you go look at their roster, and it's a roster that's loaded up with underclassmen. And obviously, you've heard me over all my years saying here that you got to have juniors and seniors dominating your lineup if you're going to be a competitive team, and they do, they really do, and they run the ball well, and so they're going to present a little different issue to us than WashU did.
You kind of mentioned that. Would you expect, having seen WashU kind of play into your strength there, that this is going to be a kind of an old school milk the clock kind of game? Yeah,
that's what my gut's telling me, that they're going to try to limit our possessions, and even if they don't score, if they can run the 40-second clock down, to 5 or 10, and hand the ball off and not stop the clock, and even if they don't get a score, you put together, run 3 times, get 3 yards, 4 yards once, and put together 2 or 3 first downs. Now you've taken off, rather than taking off a minute, as you said, you did, you take off 5 minutes. Well, there's 4 minutes less that we got the ball. And so my gut's telling me they're going to probably try to pound you a little bit and see what they can do, and see if they can run the clock down, limit possessions, get into the second half, and have a game, a 1 or 2 score game, potentially, and be in a game.
You mentioned their experience. They've got a lot of it under center. They've got a quarterback that's thrown for over 5,000 career yards, but they also have a second guy that gives you a very different look. And I think last year you only had to worry about the one because it came in a little shaken up at that position. But how do you prepare for a team that's going to give you 2 different quarterback looks throughout the game?
There's no question they do. 13 is, I don't call them by names, I call them by numbers. 13 comes in there, and he, just like when we had Spencer, or we have TJ, or JT, Jeremiah Tucker. They're a different look than your bell cow there at the quarterback position, and so there's no doubt that 13 can come in, and he's not a thrower. He just doesn't throw the ball much, but he is, he's a kick returner, and he's an all-conference kick returner. So let's just that's enough said that the kid can run a football, and they run the same plays, and when they run those plays and 12's in the game, the ball's getting handed off. 13's in the game, there's a legitimate threat for that kid to keep the ball. So, yeah, you got to prepare totally different.
Do you prepare for it a little bit like you would a Wildcat package, where you kind of just say, all right, we see this and we're getting downhill a little bit more, and we maybe call into something a little more aggressive?
No doubt. And obviously you take more risks with the passing game, knowing that the ball is probably not going to be thrown very, very often, and then probably going to be a little bit more elementary in their design. So there's no question. You're not going to have two high safeties with that kid in the game. That's just the reality of it.
This is a far cry from the Augustana team when they would maybe never throw the ball in a game. Yeah. But up front, they've got a group that looks a little more like that than what we've seen the last few years. You talked about just getting old as a group, but they've kind of added some size and some athleticism in that front five, too.
Yeah, there's no doubt that those kids have been together, and you know that an offensive line that's been together, works together, is a good one. Those guys got to work in tandem and as a group. And yeah, I mean, they're a good football team. They've only lost a couple of games for a reason, and they had Wesleyan on the ropes, and Augie got onto a fast start and sort of ended that one. North Central when they played them. But yeah, they've won 2 games and they scored a ton of points. So call it what it is. It's hard to win football games, let alone win them by the way they're winning.
You look at them on defense. We've seen the last few years they've kind of had almost a stalk linebacker where they're getting them down and into the defensive line action. What do you see from their defense this year that might differ a little bit from the past?
Yeah, they're a little bit more straight up with you. They don't do a lot of different things, and they're just going to line up and say, listen, we're not going to beat ourselves. I mean, you look at the depth that they play their secondary, they really are pretty standard in a lot of areas. And so it's the mentality is okay, let's not give big plays up. Let's not do anything stupid. Let's make sure we're on the same page here. Let's be conservative. And sooner or later, someone's going to shoot themselves in the foot, get a penalty, as we've talked about with our own offense sometimes, and throw yourself behind the chains, and now you're okay. And it's the same thing. Let's not give up quick scores here to the team we're playing. And again, limit possessions. And that's what keeps you in the game. I'm going to tell you right now, what keeps you in the game is not getting in a scoring machine with somebody. What keeps you in the game is getting you in a low-scoring game, and in my mind, and that's what I think they'll try to do.
So do you prepare for that by kind of telling your offense that's a lot of what you see every week when you go against your own defense in that regard?
No doubt, man. And but I think we have the ability, just because of our ability to throw the football and the speed we've got as receivers, we have the ability just to go over the top. Just forget about who we're playing. So if a team really, tries to do, sit down and shut your running game down a little bit, as you've seen, we got some kids that can run past people.
We haven't had to talk a ton about hidden yardage with special teams yet because you haven't used John Bickle a ton in recent weeks, but you guys continue to win the field position battle, and Bickle's been the weapon with both distance and his ability to pin the ball inside the 20-yard line. But we kind of saw the first hiccup from your special teams last week. What happened with the block punt, and how do you kind of correct that as you go forward?
Yeah, well, a number of things. First, when you get into that phase of the game, a lot of times you're starting to sub a little bit, and if you notice on the last field goal, we only had 10 guys. The extra point block, we had 10 guys on the field. No, 9 guys on the field to block the extra point. So you're starting to sub, and what's difficult is your twos are in the game, and also those guys they were your special teams guys, so you're trying to get them off special teams. So there's a lot of different substitution going on, and I'm not making any excuses, but you ask why, that kind of stuff can happen. And then the other thing that can happen, there's a letdown in emotion and intensity. You're up in a game, and we're all human beings, and between substitution and emotional letdown, stuff can happen.
You guys did get kind of return the favor earlier in the game with the block punt, and that was Burt McJunkin coming through, and he's really been a special teams key contributor for you, which is maybe a surprise for someone that hasn't played football in 7 years. I mean, talk a little bit about McJunkin, just his presence and what he's brought to the team.
Well, he's loving it too. He's just like a kid in a candy shop right now, and he's on all 4 of our units right now, and he's playing well and he's playing hard. And I say, Bert, even if you can't get in the game on offense, I'm going to tell you something right now. You can play 25 snaps a game on special teams, and those 25 snaps are 50-yard runs. And he was telling me the other day, he's so tired at the end of games, he says, I'm just too old to be a special teams guy. I said, but you're like Slater at New England, man. That's how you make your living, man. That's how you're earning your paycheck here. So Bert is doing a phenomenal job for us.
I mean, what's his presence like in the locker room as well as having it's rare that you see a guy, a 25-year-old playing college football, especially playing it for the first time.
That's what I'm saying. It's not a 25-year-old who's sort of elongated his career. This is it for him. He didn't play in college, so yeah, no. It's the other thing it does for your kids is he doesn't get too high or too low. He's a pretty even keel kid, and the other thing he does, he has fun, and our kids see him having fun, and they're just that joy, that just joy, not joy because you scored a touchdown, not joy because you intercepted a pass, but joy because you put a helmet on. Yeah, that's contagious.
Yeah, you kind of saw it after the pump block where the sideline just kind of lit up and everyone.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But he's that happy even if he's just covering a kickoff too.
Well, Coach, thanks for your time. We had a chance to talk to you after the game, and hopefully we're talking about 13 straight here in this series.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Welcome to this week's edition.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's presentation of Wheaton Thunder football here on the Wheaton Thunder Sports Network. My name is Abram Erickson. I'm here alongside Rusty Lindsay. Thanks for joining us here inside McCulley Stadium on the campus of Wheaton College. We are excited for today's matchup between the number 5th ranked Wheaton College Thunder and the Augustana College Vikings. The Thunder coming in at 6-0, 5-0 in the CCIW. Augustana 4-2, 3-2 in the CCIW. Two teams coming off big wins last week. The Thunder brought it home against Wash U here at McCulley last weekend, and then Augustana getting a big win, 71-0 over North Park.
Yeah, both of these teams, you can certainly probably call them well-rested coming off a game last week. It's not exactly coming off a bye week, except for it seems to be the way the scores have gone against North Park. It's one of those where you can really get your starters out at halftime. They held North Park to only 90 yards of total offense last week. And notice, I mean, it's a much improved Augustana team. You look at the score last year, it was 20-3 in a game where wind was howling directly down the field there along the river. You had the Wheaton training staff chasing its training chest down the track. It was so windy, so it really brought passing games to a halt. I mean, I think the two teams combined for 120 yards passing, and it was a game where you just kept the ball on the ground, and Wheaton was able to pound it out a little bit better than Augustana was last week. Last season, but this is a very good Augustana team. They should have won down at Illinois Wesleyan. They couldn't quite finish it out early in the season. They lost by 4 in a game that they had control of for a lot of that game. But this is a much improved Augustana team, and it's an Augustana team that's lost the last 12 to the Thunder. So this is their best chance, I think, in that stretch to claim a win back for their side and stop this Thunder streak.
Yeah, and the streak you mentioned goes back obviously to the start of the season for the Thunder. 6-0, big wins coming against Illinois Wesleyan, a 24-10 win back on the 21st of September, and then more recently against North Central, that 35-21 win here at home. Those are the two teams that Augustana has lost to this year. They went down against Illinois Wesleyan, as you mentioned, that 4-point game, 21-17, and then lost to North Central 42-14 back on the 12th of October.
Yeah, and that was the game against North Central where they got ambushed. I mean, they were down 35-7 at halftime. They gave up a couple short fields. I mean, North Central had a 42-yard drive, or excuse me, that's Augustana's drive. They had a 2-yard drive, a 41-yard drive. So they gave them a couple short fields, which you just can't do to Brock Rudder and company. That's a recipe for disaster. But they were able to force them to punt 9 times in that game. So, I mean, it's a better defense. Like you heard Coach Swider mention, anytime you're starting seniors, it's a huge boost to your program, and they start 16 of them. I mean, they're a team that got old this year, and so like you said, 22-year-olds will physically dominate 18-year-olds more often than not, and so this is the oldest they've been in a while. This is a group that has struggled to find consistency. They were replacing coaches at a rate that was outpacing their personnel change, so that they went from the condensed running game to a spread, and they didn't have the personnel to run the spread, and by the time they got used to having the spread, they went back to a run-oriented attack and didn't have the personnel for that. So with Steve Bell at the helm, they finally got the personnel in there that fits his scheme and what he was successful with when he was at Monmouth. So this is a much better Augustana team. I would expect them today, like you heard Coach Swider mention, they're going to try to take the air out of the game. They're going to run the ball as often as they can. They're going to run the play clock down and really try to limit this Thunder offense. The one thing that we haven't accounted for yet is the weather. And the wind is kind of not near as bad as last year. It's right down the field left to right as we look at it here at McCulley Stadium. So you would expect teams to air it out left to right, run the ball right to left. The other thing is that's going to hurt that is there's the chance for driving rain as we get into this game. Right now it's only a light rain, but the forecast calls for some heavier stuff as we get going, and if you get this into a slog down running game, I think that benefits Wheaton quite a bit.
Yeah, I think you're right. With T.J. Williams, just the year that he's been having, incredible. 102 rushes for 703 yards and 5 touchdowns, 6.9 yards per carry, 117.2 yards per game. We saw him come out in the game against WashU, play well, and then be out by halftime. Brought Will Smith in, who continued that running attack, continued to get a couple guys off the depth chart in at running back as well. And that game against WashU just proved the strength of this running attack that the Thunder has.
Yeah, TJ had a pretty easy 12 carries for 160 yards, and we've said it a couple times throughout the year that you look at the stat line on him and you're kind of surprised where he's at yardage-wise because it seems to come so easy to him. I think you're going to see a lot of him again, and given that he went out last week, rolled his ankle a little bit, and then just had it retaped and came back in, I would imagine Wheaton would like to do what it did last week and get him out early. So that's it's going to depend on them getting some early success and getting points on the board early because I think they would like to, again, turn things over to somebody not wearing number 32. And you do have to give a lot of credit to Will Smith. He ran hard. He's fresh. They haven't used him a whole lot. It's been a lot of TJ and then Stone Watson. And with Sam Singleton a little nicked up and Will Smith comes in, and then you saw Kyle Carter, the freshman, have a few nice runs as well. Wheaton's deep in the running back room, and you might see all 5 of them if Stone Watson's able to go today.
Yeah, and on the other side, it's Bobby Jarris that's probably going to take most of the load for this Augustana offense coming off a game against North Park where he carried it 15 times, 91 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So he's a guy they're comfortable with the ball in his hands, obviously.
Yeah, Jarris is the 3rd leading rusher in the conference behind T.J. Williams and Ethan Greenfield over at North Central. He's averaging just shy of 100 yards a game. Now, granted, he's going to have to work for that today because Wheaton is one of the best run defenses in the country. In fact, their rush defense ranks 2nd in the country. They lead the conference and they're 2nd in the country, and they were 1st in the country last week. So he's going to have to earn every bit of it. And for Augustana, it's going to have to come schematically in making the linebackers hesitate. They've got to find a way to slow Wheaton's defense down, and that comes at the second level. You've got to have some misdirection. You've got to move guards away from plays sometimes, and you've got to maybe use jet sweep, jet motion to move guys. You've just got to find a way to make Ryan Schwartz and his linebacker core hesitate for a split second. If you can get that hesitation, that's your best recipe for success in the run game.
Schwartz obviously leading the Thunder in tackles. He's got 45 on the year, 4.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack and a fumble recovery for a TD. But you look up at the front four, and it's been all Dallas McRae for this Thunder team. He's named the CCIW Defensive Player of the Week this year and to the D3Football.com Team of the Week. That's the third time this season. He had 3 tackles for loss and 2 sacks for that Thunder defense that had 7 sacks in the game against WashU.
At this time, we'll send it down, and we will have the singing of today's national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rockets above, the bombs bursting came through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the brave and the homeland praise?
Once again, welcome back inside McCulley Stadium, just following the singing of our national anthem. Joining us here on the Wheaton Thunder Sports Network, I'm Abram Erickson with Rusty Lindsay, and once again, we're here for the game between the 5th-ranked Wheaton College Thunder and the Augustana College Vikings. Just before we broke for the national anthem, we were talking about this defense of the Thunder and the performance they had against WashU last week, specifically Dallas McRae and what he did with those 3 tackles for loss and 2 sacks, getting named to that CCIW Defensive Player of the Week spot.
Yeah, what Dallas has done this year is kind of ridiculous. And for comparison, I went back during the middle of the week and looked at the last really dominant when you talk about some of the mountaintop seasons Wheaton defensive linemen have had. You go back to Andy Studebaker in 2006 when he had 17 and a half tackles and led all levels of the NCAA in that category. In that season, Andy had 24 tackles for loss. They played 12 games. So Wheaton threw 6. You start to look at the comparisons. Andy had 44 tackles, 24 for loss, 17 and a half sacks. Right now, Dallas is at 29 tackles, 12 for loss, and 5 sacks. And it's the sacks are obviously the discrepancy there, but he's on pace to match that and almost oversee that in tackles and tackles for loss. And obviously, sacks being the difference between a defensive tackle and a defensive end. So Dallas McRae is having one of the all-time seasons for Wheaton defensive linemen, and it's been a little bit ridiculous because he's been on the D3 Team of the Week 3 times already this year, the CCIW Defensive Player of the Week this season. And he's a load in the middle of the line. That's what makes it. I mean, it's pretty simple. When 54 can get penetration and cause disruptions in the backfield, you've got troubles, and he's done that a lot this year.
You just got a chance to see the coin toss down on the field. Looks like Augustana won the toss and opted to defer to the second half, and so as the Thunder run to the sideline here, they will be getting ready to receive here with Just about a minute left before game time, and we mentioned before these two teams' records coming in, but as we take a look at the CCIW standings, it's Wheaton still planted firmly up top in the number 1 spot at 5-0, followed by North Central and Illinois Wesleyan, both 4-1. And then there's 3 teams. Augustana's kind of stuck in that pack in the middle where it's Augustana, WashU, and Carthage, all 3-2. The Thunder obviously playing against Augustana today will move to their final 3 CCIW matchups of the year, following this game against Carroll, Carthage, and Elmhurst. Carthage, that'll be a home game. The other 2 will be away.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see Augustana live because I think of that group, Augustana has stood out to me as being the 3rd best team in the conference. Now, what we saw from WashU is hard to judge last week because Wheaton just blitzed them so hard out of the gate, leading 35-0. It's hard to really get a true feeling for what WashU had in that game. So it'll be a good test today.
Owen Ennis kicks off to the Thunder and racing up the center, and then finally brought down.
That's Matthew Tucker. That's the freshman Matthew Tucker, and that's the first time we've seen him on special teams. So certainly earning some trust from the Thunder. He's back there with Nate Magnuson, and again, that tells you Stone Watson's a no-go today because 31 has been the staple in that spot. But Matthew Tucker, who has earned some increased snaps on offense, showing you he has the trust of this staff, getting the special team start today.
The Thunder will start this drive on the 26-yard line. It's 1st and 10. Luke Anthony looking to go into the shotgun. He's got TJ Williams on his left. 3 receivers split out wide left, 1 on the right as he waits for the snap here in the opening drive of today's game.
And again, ball security is going to be a big issue today with the weather.
Anthony drops back to pass first, looks over the middle, going to Torini, and the ball's picked off right at the midfield. That's number 21. Luke Phelan on the interception, going to be on about the 49-yard line.
And might have given the old broadcaster jinx right out of the gates, but Jesse's trying to get aggressive. They're playing a deep outside 2 where they keep the safeties low, and they've got, if you look at it again, he's going to want to go outside to Carson Lean because Phelan was fading a little bit inside towards Torini, and he gave space to Carson Lean. And that, like we had mentioned, the ball's wet, it's going to sail. A little surprising they go up top to start today, especially when it's not even off a play fake. It's an interesting start, and for Augustana, you've got to capitalize with points right away.
Yeah, great field position to begin here. Fuller drops back now. Fuller looking over the middle and throws it. It's complete. Caught at about the 45-yard line. Right there to number 20.
Yeah, and again, we talk about the seniors. All 5 starting linemen are seniors. Ethan Jennings, their best wide receiver, a senior. With Eck Fuller, a senior. Tom Dolis, their leading statistical wide receiver, a senior. Bobby Jarris is a senior. They've got experience across the board here.
2nd and 4, dropping back again is Tucker. This time looking to the outside.
Nice
that
catch.
ball's complete. Going to be on the 39-yard line.
Really nice catch by Dolis. And again, we talk about Jennings has been statistically their leader. He's got over 1,100 career yards. Dolis this year is the one getting it done for him. 433 yards coming in, team high 6 touchdowns. The thing you've got to watch for Augustana, when Zach Fuller's the quarterback, they're going to look to air it out. When they go RPO, he's going to hand it off. When Alec Jacobs, number 13, is in the backfield, that's going to be more of a run look.
This time it's up the middle, and that's Jarris. He's met at the 40-yard line and stopped after a gain of 3.
So there's the first run, and the first time we'll see Jarris. And Jarris is a low center of gravity runner. He's only 5'8", but he packs a punch at 190 pounds. And you're going to see a couple different looks here. They're going to go deeper in with Jarris, and then you've got Antonio Cannon, who gives him the same look. But Trevor Spicer is a bigger guy at 6 foot 200. So they've got a couple different looks they can bring at you, similar to what Wheaton will have out of the backfield.
Fuller's in the gun with Jarris on his right, dropping back, looking to the right, and there's a flag down, but the ball is going to be thrown out of play. That's in the backfield.
Yeah, that's going to be a hold. They're trying to set up a screen to the near side, but as we've said a lot, Dallas McCray gets through too fast, and as he gets through, there's just a little bit of a grab of the shoulder area to slow him down. So this will end up being a 2nd and 22 for the Vikings.
Holding. Offense. Number 72. 10-yard penalty. 2nd down.
James Cousin, the right guard, going to be called for the hold.
So now you can get a little creative if you're in Augustana. 2nd and 17 here. Again, if you're playing field position, and if you can get close enough, this is 4-down territory. So this is a play where you look to get 7 to 10 and get yourself back on schedule with a 3rd manageable.
Fuller looked like he tried for a hard count there. Thunder don't jump. He's dropping back in the shotgun over the middle off the hand of Patrick Byrne.
Yeah, and that was a dangerous deflection because Caden Sigler was behind him with Brackett over the top. And that's what you wanted to avoid was the 3rd and long, because now the defensive line can pin their ears back and get after it. You're in a definite passing or screen situation, and this is where this Thunder defense, with all their speed, can really show itself and its strengths.
Same look, 2 wide receivers on each side. Jarris on the right hip of Fuller in the shotgun. Low snap. He drops back, looks to the outside. That ball's up high and then batted away. A good hit on the outside.
So what cost Luke Anthony is what actually cost Zach Fuller there. We saw Dolis make the nice catch on the out route earlier in the drive on a ball that was high, but that time, again, the hitch is there. It's just a 10-yard hitch. You just kind of get yourself down inside the 40 and give yourself some options, but it comes out high because of the wet ball, and Dolis can't bring it in. So that's going to be the challenge for throwing the football. Not surprising to see Augustana air it out again left to right because they've got the wind at their back, but quarterbacks really got to get the ball down today.
Punt is away by Justin Ware. Nichols is going to field at the 15, just get about 5 yards up to the 20 before he's pushed out of bounds.
Yeah, and it's interesting by Nichols because it looked like he was calling for the fair catch and then he took off. So I'm not sure if there was a miscommunication. You're going to see him, that the replay doesn't quite show it, but he ends up getting out of bounds and getting a few yards. A little surprised that that's not a fair catch violation, which is a penalty and would have backed Wheaton up. But it is a nice job by Nichols of taking the bounce and the roll away from that punt.
So the Thunder escape any repercussions from the early turnover and look now to come out with 13 minutes and 9 seconds to go in the first quarter. It's a little different look. Anthony under center, 2 wide receivers on his right, and here's the handoff right to TJ Williams to start things off. Bounces around to the outside, evades a tackler and gets just up to a couple yards, but there is a flag down.
And again, this is the way I expected Wheaton to start this game. Get under center, run forward, and use your best asset on offense. Gonna have to sort out where the flag is here.
Tackle was made by number 40, David Lane.
Holding. Offense. Number 11. After this is the goal. First down.
That's holding against Phil Nichols. So Wheaton's offense really getting behind itself or to start this game.
They're going to get moved way back. Be inside the 10. Look like the ball's placed on the 8-yard line. 1st and 18 to go.
And we mentioned TJ missed a little bit of time last week. That's going to be the interesting thing to see is how good he feels today.
Screen pass out to the outside to Nichols. Nichols turns it up. Jukes past one defender and gets up to the 12-yard line. Wants to keep going, but he was down.
Yeah, and again, that's a play that in dry conditions hits pretty fast. You saw the ball get out there slower and wobbly because it's so wet, and then that all of a sudden the defense has time to react. So that's the biggest problem. Wheaton's one of the most penalized teams in the country, and if they get themselves behind the chains, they're going to be in a world of trouble today.
Anthony under center once again on 2nd and 14 with Williams behind him. They play to the left side. DJ breaks through the hole and then gets up to about the 20-yard line, falling forward.
That's Will Smith back there. And both of them ran for over 100 yards. But again, so you've got a turnover on the first play, just the 2nd interception of the year by Luke Anthony or any of the Thunder quarterbacks. And then you've got the penalty to start this drive, and all of a sudden you're in 3rd and 11 in conditions going against the wind with a wet ball that's hard to throw. So it's going to be it's tough sledding on the start here for the Thunder. And if you're Augustana, you've got the field position in your favor, and you've got down and distance. So this is a good situation for them.
Anthony, a long drop, looks to run up the middle, gets past one tackle, makes his way up past the 30-yard line. He's still going, getting the first down and more.
Yeah, Luke Anthony has sneaky athletic ability when he's running, and you see it there. He makes a good read. He sees man. So when he looks downfield, he sees backs of jerseys and not fronts. And then they've got the one guy in the middle of the field who is isolating and shadowing the quarterback, and he can't get the job done. That's got to be the role. That's Tom Swanee, number 50, who's got to be able to really – it's his job. When the quarterback steps up, that's his man, and he can't get it done, and Anthony gets a big gain and gets them away from their own end zone.
Handoff up the middle once again. Breaking through the hole is Smith, gaining 9. You mentioned Anthony's athleticism. This Augustana team certainly knows who Luke Anthony is after his time on the basketball court for the Thunder. He had 15 points in that Sweet 16 win against Augustana just this past season.
And you like that they're getting Will Smith involved early, but there's also some concern in him getting involved early because TJ kind of hesitated on that first cut, and immediately Will Smith was into the game.
Fumbled snap. Anthony's going to have to fall on it, and he'll be a loss of 1 yard down to the 40.
Yeah, the good news is Will gave you some pretty good field position there and getting it 2nd and 1, so the loss gets you 3rd and 5, but this is a sloppiness that we haven't seen from this Thunder offense this year, and you can some of that's the conditions, but some of the things are also mental. Center quarterback exchange, a lot of that is just focus related, and Wheaton's a little sloppy here in the early going.
Williams checks back into the game. He replaces Smith, and it looks like the Thunder will be in the shotgun on 3rd and 4. 2 wide receivers on each side. Anthony takes the snap. Just one step drop, throwing over the middle, deflected up in a dangerous spot. Ball will land on the ground, and it'll be 4th down.
Really nice play by the free safety, John Capel there. He comes from behind the play. He sees it, sees just a simple drag from Phil Nichols, a quick hitter, and that little bit of hesitation. I don't know if there was a guy sitting in the initial window, but that little bit of hesitation gives Capel enough time to get down. He'll get around the body of Nichols and punch that free, and then Wheaton's very fortunate that it falls harmlessly to the turf and not another interception.
So we'll see John Bickle for the first time today, the punter for the Thunder. He'll send it away from about the 32. So we're going to bounce down at the 30 and go out of bounds just at about the 24-yard line. Nice punt from Bickle.
Yeah, it's going to be tough sledding today, punting from right to left, and that's what you see here. The key is going to be for Bickle, what we've seen so far this year is his ability to give you several different punt looks. He can give you the air out ball where he just lets everything behind it, but he's also shown an ability to kick the low spiral where he can drop it on the laces and really send it, and that's going to be his best method today. Is if he can get that one, you're going to be able to turn the field. Left to right, it almost felt like we had this win last week because Wheaton was able to go so fast left to right to start the game. Your ability left to right to pin the opponent deep, even if you don't score, is going to be a huge part of today's game.
Back on offense for Augustana. Drop back and now looking to evade the pocket is Fuller. He gets out past the line of scrimmage, slides down for a gain of 2.
Yeah, and Dallas McCray right there in his face again. But you see Fuller check out here. This is a nice job to ride him out of the play, and he gets a little bit of a hold there. Is the left tackle Chaz Williams, but they ran a little bit of a stunt. They moved Schindeldecker inside, try to get Dallas moving outside, as we're going to see the quarterback Alec Jacobs for the first time here.
Jacobs in there. It's still Jarris, the running back. And that's a handoff to the left side, working around off tackle, and he's brought down for a loss of 2.
Yeah, I would be a little bit surprised if we don't see Jacobs more going the other direction. I'm a little bit surprised to see him here because this is more of a passing down, and especially to see him here on 3rd and 8 because he's not a great passer. He's completed 15 of 24 for the year, but he's a 52% career passer. And with a wet ball, I would think you'd want Fuller back there instead of Jacobs.
3rd and 8, the clock ticking down now below 9 minutes. But it is still Jacobs with 2 receivers on his right side. Now he's going to roll that way, and he's swarmed by a couple Thunder defenders. Ball is up, but it's going to be out of bounds. Right there was Robin Schwartz ready to pick that one off if it wasn't just a little too high.
Yeah, and I think CJ notices that as well. Down in distance with Jacobs in the backfield, you're going to want to bring extra pressure, and they're not going to just drop him back. That's going to be a package where you move the pocket. So he brings Gamicha off the side that he's going to roll to throwing-wise. That's going to be easier for him as a right-handed quarterback, which is rolling to his right. So he has pressure in his face immediately and doesn't have time to set up and throw.
Another punt, this one away from the 14. It's going to bounce at the 40. Nichols will field it off one bounce and look to work up towards the middle. Gets past the 45, trucking a tackler and getting across the 50-yard line for a nice return.
Yeah, we haven't really seen the big return yet from Phil Nichols this year, and it's been a staple of his game. He's usually had a couple big ones every year, but this one gets a nice bounce. It's well blocked up, and he's able to use the alley they set up in the middle of the field to get Wheaton on the right side of midfield to start this drive.
Yeah, great field position to start things out. The Thunder looking to break this one open, and couldn't be a much more different script from how things looked last week against Wash U, where the Thunder came out, scored twice within just the first couple of minutes of the game. Here, with only 8 minutes left in the quarter, still scoreless. Handoff up the middle. This one to Williams. Now he gets over a defender, works past the first down, and well past the 30-yard line.
Well, and that might put the concerns over his ankles to bed because he had a couple one-step cuts off both ankles there, and then he steps out of the tackle. This is a very patient run. Sees the hole develop on the tackle, and then right here sees a little bit of a lane, steps over the arm tackle of J.J. Servino, and then the quick step again with Capel finally able to bring him down, but not before he gets inside the 30.
Anthony now in the shotgun. It's Williams that's still there. 2 receivers on the left and 1 on the right. Now it's a play up the middle that he'll bounce to the outside and gain just about 7 yards. And once again, TJ working now this time inside the 20.
Yeah, Sam Francis is the near side linebacker for Augustana, and he's in pretty good position. He's outside the near side blocker, and he's in good position to turn that inside. The problem is when you haven't seen TJ's speed in person, you don't really realize just how quick he is. And that time TJ accelerates to the corner and leaves Francis behind and ends up getting a first down run.
Yeah, he's actually going to pick up 10 there. But Smith checks into the backfield now when Anthony's under center.
Raining a lot harder all of a sudden.
Up the middle to Smith.
Ooh.
Smith hit by his own player. That's number 37, Michael Gale, who kind of got in the way of Will Smith.
And Sam Francis got right back into the fight here. He's going to put Gale right on his keister with a solid punch at the point of attack right there that slows Will Smith down. That's an impressive play from Sam Francis, delivering the blow to the blocker of Michael Gale.
And Gale by no means a small player, 6'2", 234.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting here on this play. Might tell you a lot about what Wheaton's feeling going into the win with their field goal unit.
Anthony drops back, has to roll out of the pocket to the right. He's got some space along the sideline, but he's just going to ultimately run it out of bounds at the line of scrimmage.
And I say that because Wheaton's had its problems kicking so far, and with the wind what it is, into their face, they might try to get into 3rd and then 4th and short where they can just continue the drive and go for it.
3rd and 9. Once again, this clock just continuing to tick down. We're now down below 7 minutes.
Early snaps for Terrell Brown here for the Thunder offense, which is good to see. Brown and Matthew Tucker, some talented young receivers for the Thunder. They're just playing behind a really good group of seniors.
Anthony drops straight back. Steps up in the pocket, now looking to make it happen with his legs, and gets kind of rolled over on top of as he looked to go into a half slide that never really saw him slide forward.
Yeah,
just kind of go down.
Ike McGuire was a little too close to him to really be able to ease up, and we've talked early in the year about Luke Anthony's ability or inability to slide and protect himself, and this will be an early test for Griffin Bowes. This will be from 35. Into the wind. It is middle of the field. Now his problem, like we've mentioned, has never been with distance. It's been a bit of the case of wide left.
There's the snap. Good snap and hold. This one's got the distance, and it's good. And so the Thunder break things open with the field goal from Griffin Bowes, a 35-yarder straight through the uprights, gives the Thunder the 3-0 lead with 5 minutes and 53 seconds left in the first quarter.
Yeah, and it is cutting across a little bit, so he starts that one out at the right upright and brings it back. And pretty confident kick from Griffin Bowes. A lot of times with kickers, when it's wet, you don't see them trust their footing and really get full acceleration into the kick. But that time is pretty confident approach and swing from the Thunder senior.
Yeah, and the snap and hold were good as well. No worries there, even with the wet ball. And so, Bowes able to put it right through. The Thunder will now kick off and hope to pin Augustana deep. They've had good field position for at least the first drive for sure, and not so bad for the second either. And so Griffin Bowes is going to want to do what he does and either send this one into the end zone for a touchback or pin them deep within the 10-yard line and hope that the kickoff team is able to make a big play.
Well, this is where Bowes is such a weapon because he's got such a strong leg that it might negate the wind. It'll be interesting to see how he approaches it, if he tries to drive it low and keep it below that wind or just air it out and give his coverage team time to get down there.
This one's up in the air, and it is going to be short of the end zone. Fielded at the 5. Brought up now, and there's the Thunder kickoff team that's going to swallow up the returner at about the 15.
It's a really nice play by a freshman running back, Kyle Carter, who gets down there and forces him back in. And actually, I think gets around that block and makes the tackle, too. That ball was in the air. I was a little surprised Augustana didn't use the fair catch there because Wheaton's able to get so far downfield. And I think Bowes and his leg power is going to actually use that wind as a little bit of just kind of backspin that thing up there, let it hold it, and give his coverage team time to get down there.
And so Augustana comes out. The Vikings going to go with Fuller to start this drive. Fuller's still got Jarris there on his right, a little motion across the line, and this will be a handoff to Jarris on the left side, looking to work his way up and brought down by a couple Thunder tacklers.
And again, like we talked about, when you see Fuller in there, a lot of times it's a handoff. That was actually Jacobs, though, so they're trying to play that game. You see Schindeldecker on that play slows down because it's Jacobs, and he knows he's got an athlete back there who might pull it out and run it more than he hands it off, so he forces it inside. However, now that Fuller's in, you would probably see Schindeldecker attack that play more and force Fuller to take that ball out and keep it himself.
2nd down and 6. This one to Jarris up the middle again, but no gain.
And again, like we talked about, Augustana very content to let the clock run, let the play clock run, hand the ball off, let their defense catch their breath a little bit, and limit Wheaton's possession. So this is going to be a big one for Augustana, not just in taking more time off the clock, but also with field position.
That was McRae and Holiday who teamed up for the stop on 2nd down. It's now 3rd and 6. Fuller takes the snap and drops back. He rolls to his right, being chased, and then throws into no man's land out of bounds. It'll be 4th down for Augustana.
Yeah, nice job by Jake Holiday. He's the one that forces him. He breaks through and forces him off his mark. Just overpowers the right guard, James Cousin, and breaks himself loose, and then forces that throw away. Even if that ends up being a completion, it's going to be an incompletion because the receiver ran out of bounds and then would have been the first one to touch the ball. So nice job by the Wheaton defense. They get the 3 and out, get your offense right back on the field here, and the punts haven't been in the air a lot, so this should be another good field position for the Thunder.
This one hangs up there for a little longer. Nichols signals for the fair catch, backs up a little, and secures the ball at about the 42-yard line.
And this is a concern if you're Augustana, because this is the direction you should be gaining field position. You should be able to really get the offense. You've got your full playbook, turn it all loose, the wind's at your back. Meanwhile, Wheaton has started these last 2 possessions up from the Augie 46 and now from their own 45.
This one will look to go under center for Anthony. He has 3 receivers on the right side. Little pitch to the left after a fake screen and a big block, but Williams isn't going to gain any yards. He's going to lose 5.
Well, it's a nice block by Jake Hibben. He gets the pancake. The problem is the tight end, Jack Miller, stands there and admires it. And then he's got TJ Williams coming behind. Instead of turning upfield and looking for the next guy, that guy ends up making the tackle. You've got to look to get to the next guy, especially with someone with the vision of TJ Williams who can extend plays and make guys miss. You've got to just get upfield and keep blocking and look for the next guy to get.
Williams still in the backfield. Anthony under center again. The clock down below 4. This time the pitch is a fake, and Anthony drops back to pass. Rolling to his right, throwing over the middle, and it's low. No chance to make a play on that.
Yeah, those 2 plays are designed to build off each other. You pitch to one, and then you show pitch to the other. And it's a nice job by the defensive end that gets coverage here and forces him out. That's Daniel Jaden, who kind of gets around Clay Wagner. And again, now you're in 3rd and long. The thing you don't love to see from Anthony is you never throw against your body back into the middle of the field like that. It's a dangerous throw.
Pass was intended for Carter, who we see now back in the backfield. Anthony again has to roll out. This time he's going to get caught up, and he's sacked. Brought down, loss of 7 yards. And the Thunder punt team is going to be back on the field.
And that's Francis again. And this is a good Augustana defensive line. They've got 2 good defensive ends that are able to get upfield. And Clay Wagner's getting his hands full right now. He's getting everything he can ask for from Daniel Jaden. Now, Wheaton needs to realize that Jaden's getting aggressively upfield here. I think if Wheaton could run counter at him, I think they've got a success for Jaden to open the lane for them and not really have to do any work, get that lead blocker into the 2nd level. But right now, Daniel Jaden's kind of giving Clay Wagner everything he can handle.
It ends up being a 4th and 21. Kick away,
it's
and it's blocked. Bickle's going to try to get on it, and he picks it back up. Still working his way up, and then taken down hard at the 25.
Now, Wheaton had a punt blocked from the same spot of the line last week, and this time that was with a lot of the backups in. You do have a flag here, so we'll see what that's for. I'm going to guess it's holding because it looked like Wheaton knew they were beat and just trying to let the kick get away. It also felt like Bickle took too long to get that punt away.
It just seemed like it developed slowly as the snap came out.
Holding kicking team, number 46.
Yep.
That penalty is declined. First down, Augustana.
That's Christian Karstens, freshman running back, who gets called for the hold.
Yep.
Or, correction, that's Phil
Sideline warning, Wheaton.
Phil
Their first
Barber,
of the
who's
game.
wearing number 46 today. So the long snapper gets called for the hold, but it's a concern. I mean, it was a concern when you saw it get blocked and end up being WashU's second touchdown last week. It's a bigger concern now that your starting unit gets beat. And now Augustana is going to have only 26 yards to go and a chance to take the lead here late in the first quarter. But I think Augustana definitely did their tape work because they brought the pressure wedge from the same spot where WashU did last week and was able to get to the ball.
Yeah, it seemed to be almost a direct replay of that one. The only thing that went well for the Thunder is that they were able to recover and prevent the touchdown, but we'll see how the defense can hold up with 1st and 10 from the 26. Snap, dropping back is Fuller. Fuller looks to go to his left. The flag is down in the backfield. And chasing him down and then knocking him out of bounds is...
It's really no surprise. Dallas
42.
McCray just gets wrestled to the ground by the left guard, Tommy Simon. You're going to see it right here in the middle. He's about to break free, and then he gets brought to the ground by Simon. And Simon just kind of sits there, throws his hands like, what do you want me to do? He's already got me beat. And we've seen a lot of McCray already. We've seen a lot of Holiday. Augustana's going to have trouble getting their offense rolling if they can't block the 2 defensive tackles.
First down.
Because right now it's 2-on-3 in the middle with the guard center guard combo, and the 2 are winning.
10-yard penalty brings it back to the 36-yard line, so the Thunder get a little more breathing room after the blocked punt. And now 1st and 20 for Augustana. Fuller will stay on the field. 3 receivers on the right side, 1 on the left. And Bobby Jarris back in the backfield. Straight drop back. Some penetration, but a pass over the middle will be caught at about the line of scrimmage.
I think get away with another hold on McCray there because he broke through the middle and all of a sudden got tackled to the ground. You're going to see it right through the middle of the line here. But it's a nice ball from Fuller, but it's a little high again as Uranus was able to bring it down. But again, quarterback's got to focus on getting the ball down. If they can get the ball down and keep it on a line, you're going to be able to move the ball.
2nd and 11 on the 27, clock below 2 minutes. Play fake, but there's a ton of penetration this time. He has to sling it out wide. Absolutely no one in the area.
I mean, Dallas McCray has bought real estate in the Augustana backfield, and it's valuable real estate because he's just that time it's a revolving door look from the center. He's turned around and watching McCray go. I think you can probably call that the old Ole block, as the Matador just letting the ball come right through at the quarterback. It's a big 3rd down here for Augustana and what's probably going to be 4-down territory.
Yep, it's 3rd and 11 from the 27. Same look as before. 2 on the right and on the left with Fuller and Jarris in the backfield. Takes the snap, a lot of pressure, throws it low to the outside. And he's hit hard after the throw.
Yeah, good coverage from Roland there. And the defensive line, they're not even having to bring pressure because they're collapsing with 4. They do bring pressure, though. They bring a 5th, and it's Schindeldecker able to get into the feet of Fuller and not really let him step and hitch into that throw. But it's a nice coverage from Roland to not give him a chance to get back to the ball. And this will be an opportunity for Augustana. Their kicker hasn't missed this year. That's Owen Enos, who's 24 of 24 in extra points. As long as 33, this will be 44.
Ball is down and it's low. And
Off
it's
the
off the
upright.
upright. It had the distance, but knocked off the right upright. It'll be no good. And so Augustana, looking to tie things up, isn't able to off of Owen Enos' first miss of the year. Thunder will get the ball back with the lead.
Yeah, like you mentioned, at first it didn't look like it had the distance, but then the wind really picked it up and kind of ushered it that last 10 yards. It was going to sneak over the crossbar, but pounded soundly against the right upright. If I'm Wheaton this time, I'd like to see him get the ball going downhill more. Get TJ Williams straight ahead into the line. Let your line do what it does best, which is road great straight ahead. They're kind of stretching a little bit too much and giving the defense time to rally. Get TJ Williams into the line early and let him do his work.
The Thunder look to come back out. Little 2-minute drill with 1:43 left. Hand off to Williams. Stutter steps and then gets brought down. Little ankle biter tackle brings him down behind the line.
And that's their leading tackler, Luke Sawicki, who had 99 tackles a year ago. He leads the team with 51 this year. That's his 10th tackle for loss. And now we've got a flag coming down in the Augustana side of the field. And it's a very late flag. So we'll have to sort this one out. Not sure if maybe there was a little jawing after that play.
It didn't seem related to the play at all, really.
Clay Wagner looking a little upset on the line for the Thunder. Wonder if he didn't get pegged for something.
We'll get a chance to see as the official comes
Well, they're
over
talking to the
sideline.
Augustana sideline, so I think this is going to be against Wheaton.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct. Offense, number 69. The penalty to be assessed. This to the goal. That is number 69's first unsportsmanlike conduct penalty of the game. Second down.
And it was indeed Clay Wagner, the guilty party, so it's a loss of down penalty because it occurred after the play. And it was a loss of 3, so half the distance comes after that loss and should mark it all the way back to around the 12.
Extremely costly.
It's going to be second and 25. And
Penalty for the Thunder.
it's silly. Wagner's a better player than what he's showing right now, but he's also got to be smarter.
Now the Thunder are really limited in what they can do here, as you see 5 guys up on the line, 2 standing up. And we're going to have another stoppage as 2 officials go to talk to each other over on the other sideline.
Not sure what they have to discuss here. They've assessed it properly so far. It seemed to all be in agreement here.
Doesn't look like we'll get an explanation, but they'll set the ball back down, and with 1:28, the Thunder will snap it on a 2nd and long. Little play fake. Anthony buying some time in the backfield, looking to go outside, and now he's turning it upfield, stepping out of bounds before it could be hit, gaining a couple yards, but it's not going to make 3rd down any easier for the Thunder.
Yeah, it's a nice job of buying time. I haven't been real impressed with what I've seen from the Wheaton wide receivers when they've had to scramble drill a couple times. No one's coming back and helping the quarterback. So they get back to the 17 and 3rd and 20, but again, there's not a whole lot of plays in the playbook for 3rd and 20 in the first place, especially in a wet ball with the wind in your face.
Terrell Brown down at the bottom of your screen, the receiver, and then 3 up top. Straight drop back. Anthony has to get out of the pocket again, and he's going to be swung down, sacked.
And it's Jaden again. They switched Jaden and Holly, and this is we've got a flag late, and this is a big one because if it's against Wheaton, it's Wagner's 2nd, and he's tossed. If this is this is an after the play. Well, I should say if it's an after the play personal foul. From what we saw there in the replay, it didn't look like holding. It just looked like he had got the guy to the ground and not letting him get back up, but.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct. Offense, number 69.
He's gone.
That's number 69's 2nd unsportsmanlike conduct of the game. He's disqualified.
It's
the penalty being enforced, half the distance to the goal, 4th down.
It's incredibly stupid from a senior leader for this team. And so you're going to need a new right tackle when your starter's already getting beat like a drum here in the first quarter, and you're making your punt unit operate without a full operation here. This is going to be from the back of the end zone into the wind.
And after we saw one not get off quickly enough last time.
Correct. If I'm Augustana, I don't even bother with a returner. Bring the house. Get the extra guy into the line right now.
Bickle gets it. He does get this one away. It's a low spiraling punt that'll be fielded at the 40.
Yeah, it's a nice job by Bickle. He rushed it out as quick as he could get it because he knew that he had trouble coming. And it's a nice job by Augustana to get the ball and just get upfield as quick as you can and get all the yardage you can.
And Augustana will have good field position with 30 seconds, plenty of time to work inside, get a couple plays off, and try to make something happen here. I don't think they'd be hesitant to give Enos another try if they had to.
No, but don't be surprised to see them take a shot here because you've got a couple plays with the wind still at your back, so they might go play action early and try to get the ball into the end zone before they have to switch fields.
Yep. And it is Fuller back there, so more of a passer like you did talk about. Rusty, 31 seconds. He'll take the snap, little play action.
Look out.
Coming from behind, there's a flag down, but he is sacked in the backfield.
We shouldn't be surprised it's Dallas McCray, but River Schindeldecker was coming around the corner pretty quick, and they're going to probably wave off the penalty because it's going to be holding.
Look at the bull rush there.
Holding. Offense, number 72. That penalty is declined. Second down.
That's Cousin again, the guilty party, but Dallas McCray is having himself a day. And he needs to have himself a day because right now the Thunder offense is stuck in reverse.
2nd and 18. The sack brings a loss of 8 to this Vikings team, and only 5 seconds lost on the clock, but 8 yards is big at this point.
Again, if I'm Augustana, I don't know that I take the foot off the gas here. You've still got a couple plays with the wind. Go ahead and take your shot.
This time it is a handoff up the middle. Jarris is stopped right at the line.
Really nice play by Pat O'Connell. He comes downhill and he gets low so he can get below the block. He's going to come from the near side, gets underneath what should be a double team chip and doesn't even let the second guy get contact and is able to get around the feet of the runner. And that'll be the end of the first quarter. That's an ugly first quarter. As good as Wheaton was in the first quarter last week against WashU, they've been equally bad here in the first quarter. They're lucky to get out of here with a win because Augustana has been the better team for 15 minutes.
As the Thunder come to the sideline, you can see what looks like the whole offense huddled up over here. Offensive coordinator Jesse Scott talking to them. As you said, Rusty, there's going to have to be a change on the line. We'll get a chance to see who that is. If we look at the depth chart, good chance it might be Graham Wall, number 59, the 6'4", 268 sophomore from Wheaton Academy.
Well, I would probably expect to come with Joey Paulina, and they just might roll him to the other side. What you also might see is Joey play his natural left side and move Drew Smith, who has a couple years of starting experience, over to the right side. As we look at the first half stats, Augustana 16 plays, 23 yards. Wheaton 19 plays, 46 yards. Some of that being because Luke Anthony's been sacked twice. Wheaton has run the ball 15 times for 42 yards, and some of that is because they're designed pass plays that have ended up being runs. 7 rushes for 1 yard for Augustana.
And we obviously saw the Thunder successful on the ground in that last game against WashU, but we saw them successful in the air too. The first touchdown came on a long bomb to Adam Torini. There's been nothing of the sort today, as the Thunder not able to get anything going. As you mentioned, Rusty, receivers downfield not able to get open, forcing Anthony out of the pocket, and he's been brought down or just simply had to run out of bounds a couple times.
Wayne's going to bring in an extra defensive back here in Caleb Grodelution, so this is the nickel package, only 3 down linemen.
Snap. And wide open over the middle, working his way up.
Yeah, and that's fine. You're going to give that up because you're going to bring the fourth and Luke Gamicha, and then it's a shell coverage. You've got a lot of room underneath. The interesting thing for Augustana here going into the win is that's what they needed, because now they're going to go for it.
There was Dolis on the reception, and it is going to be 4th and 6. Fuller will stay on the field with Jarris in the backfield, 2 wide receivers on each side.
And this is where CJ likes to bring pressure.
Little motion, brings 3 to the right, and here is the pressure, throwing over the middle and incomplete.
Yeah, that's a dangerous ball because he's leading Patrick Byrne right into the teeth of the defense. They do bring pressure. It's a delayed blitz by Wyatt Lee, so they bring 5, and Augustana just couldn't convert. That's a nice job by the Thunder defense. They have bailed the offense out a couple times now, and now we'll see how Wheaton tries to manipulate its offensive line. Wheaton's got to get a little bit less cute with the game plan here. Give 32 the ball, let him do his work. Get downhill with the run game. That's when they've had their success. Quarterbacking today, so far, it combined 4 of 14.
Anthony under center. The snap, stretch play to Williams. Williams nowhere to go, works his way back into the backfield, and no gain and a loss of a couple.
Yeah, it's really, really disciplined play by the defensive line for Augustana. They stay in their gaps. David Mason ends up the guy getting the tackle.
And as you said, it is 74, Joey Paulina, who comes in to play right tackle.
Yeah, not surprising. Drew Smith's had a pretty good year, so he'll move over to the left side.
This time a handoff to Smith. Smith breaking through the line and getting maybe back to the original line of scrimmage.
Yeah, Augustina's got a good game plan right now. You're able to slow down the running game, so they're going to keep adding guys to the box because it's hard to throw the ball. Wet game. Luke Anthony's 1 of 4 with an interception so far, so they're adding guys to the box. They're bringing guys on pressure, and they're just outnumbering Wheaton at the line. So this will be a big one. 3rd and 10 here from their own 31. Thunder need a first down to settle themselves down. This is kind of the most rattled we've seen them be in a couple weeks here.
Nichols motions to the right side. He's there with Terrell Brown. Anthony drops back. He's got pressure behind him, and that ball is going to be incomplete.
Yeah, again, it's good pressure. It's Jaden who breaks free late and is able to get pressure behind Luke Anthony.
And I had thought for a second that maybe he had even hit Anthony's arm on the throw.
Well, that's poor recognition from Will Smith, because you can start to see the inside as he move inside and Drew Smith sets. You can start to see Jaden break free a little bit from the right, and Will Smith, just runs right by him going out to the route. You've got to chip. You've got to give him a little bit of help, buy him that extra time there.
See Bickle. Now again,
Nice
this
punt.
is a nice high punt with the win
Wow.
now for the first time. Backtracking and catching it at the 10. Here's the returner. He's going to try to turn back and then be swallowed up by the Thunder.
Yeah, that's a heck of a punt from Bickle. It's also really good coverage from Caleb Egbert, because he's on an island. He's the first guy down there with a ton of room, and then he's going to force him back to the middle and get help from Burt McJunkin. But Egbert does a nice job of slowing him down, and then McJunkin's the guy who turns him around, and he's going to clean it up after Egbert misses the initial tackle.
It's Capel on the return. And 12 minutes and 44 seconds left in the half as this Augustana team will take over with poor field position.
This is what you needed to do going this direction, though. You've got to force them to drive a long field with the wind in their face. So we're going to see them for the first time moving right to left here.
Fuller snaps a little low, but he fields it. Now tries to air it out across the center, diving, and that pass is incomplete, intended for Byrne.
Yeah,
he had
good.
a little bit of separation there.
A little bit, but Corey Kennedy's in really good position. He's running right with him. And Augustana knows they've got something here, so this is a chance to take a shot. Excuse me, that's Luke Gamicha who's running with him. I would expect this to be a handoff to Jarris, though, and start to give yourself an opportunity for a third and manageable.
Now we see Jarris directly behind Fuller for one of the first times today, and there it is. Right up to him through the middle and then brought down on the right side.
So now the Thunder defense can really come after him. A lot of times we've seen Wyatt Lee in the pressure package. We've seen a lot of Luke Gamicha coming today. So I would expect maybe they go to both of them here and try to get the ball out of Fuller's hands early before they can get the routes to the 10-yard marks.
Schwartz had the first point of contact on that play. Clock coming below 12 minutes now. 3rd and 9. Ball on the 13-yard line for the Vikings.
Pressure.
Drops back, and there's a ton, and he's going to get it out just before he's brought down in the end zone.
That's trouble because the ball doesn't make it to the line of scrimmage.
He wasn't outside the pocket.
And he wasn't outside the box, and he threw it. He might have ran himself back into the end zone, too. So this could be a safety.
There's a flag down, so we'll see as the officials come to talk about it.
Intentional grounding. Offense. Number 15. The penalty results is safety.
Yep. Throw the hands above the head, and it is time for the safety dance. Ryan Schwartz came delayed up the middle. He was the 7th guy, and it's just lack of awareness from Fuller. Once you see you don't have it, you've got to throw it away immediately, and that time he backpedaled himself into the end zone before he threw it away and didn't have enough room to get the ball back to the line of scrimmage.
And so with 11 minutes and 55 seconds to go in the second quarter, the Thunder lead 5-0 in about the oddest scoring breakdown that we've seen, and one we probably didn't expect to see here in this one, 5-0. But right now, 5 seems like a whole lot when neither team's been able to get anything going in this one.
Well, the bigger concern if you're Wheaton is the special teams has 3 points, the defense has 2 points, your offense is still on the goose egg. So this is going to be a big drive for the Thunder to get themselves into the end zone. If you can get yourself a 2-score separation here before Augustana can get their footing, it's a great opportunity, because then chasing 2 scores on a day like today is going to be tough. So they've got to get the initial separation that comes with this possession.
Rain's still coming down, but it's not coming down that hard. Definitely just a little drizzle, but things are thoroughly wet out there, that's for sure. And only getting more wet as this game goes on.
Yeah, and I'd expect even the rain to get a little harder as we go. I mean, they're calling for driving rain here this afternoon. And this is going to be big because you kick off farther back. You normally kick off from the 35. After the safety, it comes from the 20. It's coming into the wind with Enos, who has a pretty good average. He's averaging just shy of 55 yards at kickoff. So he's able to pound the ball pretty good, but Wheaton's going to catch the ball so much farther and with the wind in their face. This is going to be a great field position opportunity.
So he goes to the left side. It's Magnuson. He's going to wait for the fair catch.
Yeah, that's smart. Just possess the football. Don't cost yourself anything extra. And Wheaton starts from their own 38.
So the Thunder now working with the wind are going to hope to be able to get something going here on offense. As you mentioned before, Anthony not able to find any receivers at all in this first quarter. And the ground game has been surprisingly quiet as well for the Thunder.
Well, the problem that Wheaton has is all these pass plays have been quick developing. They're not running the slants. They're not getting somebody into the middle. If they're bringing pressure, get somebody behind where they're bringing pressure. Get Phil Nichols open across the middle. They're looking downfield a lot in the passing game.
Anthony under center with Smith behind him. Play fake. Now he's looking deep over the middle to Nichols, but he's got a man running right with him. He's going to try to reach back.
Yeah, that's pass interference.
But it is interference.
And it's not because he's impeding the progress of the wide receivers, because he never gets his head around.
Turn around.
Yeah, that's the biggest pass interference difference between the college game and the pro game, is that's a fine play on Sundays.
Pass interference. Defense, number 40. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
It's the safety, David Lane, who's the guilty party. It's a pretty impressive ball from Anthony just to get it that far, and had a tight spiral with the wind at their back. So it's a good start for the Thunder. Going to move the ball up to midfield.
And so now good field position. Turns even better after a penalty. Still not a completion up on the board for the Thunder. Right now it's still only one incomplete pass on the day. Anthony is back in the shotgun. He's got Will Smith on his right side. Two receivers to the right and one on the short side. Another play fake, looking deep again. There's a little hitch route on the outside. Tarini turns it back inside, breaks a tackle, and now spinning, works forward past the 35.
Yeah, that's kind of been a staple, that 10 to 15 yard route. When you look at what Wheaton's completions have been this year, their catch average is around 14 yards in the passing game. So you get him behind the first down sticks, you force the guy to make a cut and an attack downhill, and then Tarini is pretty elusive. He makes the first guy miss, and then the coverage finally comes to help. So two big plays here, one on the penalty and then the first down gain for 17.
First and 10 from the 33. Motion across the middle. Dropping back and looking for somewhere to throw is Anthony. He has time. The flag is down and he throws it short up, intended for Nichols.
Yeah, it's holding. Anytime you've got a quarterback dancing around that long and you see the flag come in, it's probably holding.
Holding. Offense. Number 71. 10-yard penalty. First down.
So it's Drew Smith. Get a chance to see it here.
So it'll be first and 20 back at the 43, and Wheaton's got to be pushing 60 yards of penalties already in this game.
And that's Xavier Holly, who was rushing there, the 2018 second team All-CCIW.
Statistically, he's their biggest disruptor in the backfield. 13.5 tackles for loss and 8 sacks, but it's been Jaden who's had the better half.
Looking to the outside to
Oh, what a catch!
Nichols, and wow! The referee's going to say he's in play. It bounced off his hand, and then he corralled it with both while he got a foot in. Let's see it here.
Goes up and over. Yeah, that ball's not moving.
Left foot down.
He pins it against the shoulder pads. What a catch from Phil Nichols. And that catch is going to move him over 2,500 receiving yards for his career. What a catch from Nichols. The presence of mind to kind of deflect it back down to himself and then pin it with the left arm.
Well, you see a lot of guys maybe try to bring that in with one hand. Instead uses two. Anthony now still has time, throwing to Carson Lean on the right side of the field, and he will spin inside to gain a couple.
Yeah, I was curious how they were going to spot that, because he's brought down, but he's rolled over the body of the defender, and they mark it correctly. He gains another yard down to the 13 because he goes over the body of the tackler before he goes down.
10:30 to go in the half.
And Wheaton has yet to hand the ball off on this possession.
And it's been Will Smith the whole time. We haven't seen Williams this drive. Anthony takes the snap, and there it is to Smith. Smith gaining some speed and breaking through the hole will push the pile forwards close to a first down. I think it'll be a little short.
Yeah, Will Smith's well equipped for a day like today because as soon as he sees presence, he's going to tuck the ball, lower his head, and grind for every yard he can get. And that time he brings it down to 3rd and 2. Given the field position and where you're at, don't be surprised if this is 4-down territory for the Thunder. The way your defense is playing and penning them deep, and the way Dallas McCray is getting into the backfield in the passing game, they might look to take 2 shots at the end zone if they don't get it.
Lean and Nichols on the right side, Torini on the left. Play fake, roll out to the right. Anthony's going to take it himself, diving forward, going to be down just short of the end zone, but he gets the first down.
Yeah, it's really good recognition. They're going to drag the tight end across the formation. They show run to the right side, and it's very disciplined play by Sam Francis, who runs with Jack Miller. But what he does is he opens up the running lane up the middle for Luke Anthony, who sees that and just tucks it straight ahead. And now we're going to see Jeremiah Tucker into the backfield for the first time today.
Jeremiah Tucker in at quarterback. And Kyle Carter, the running back. Little option look outside, and Tucker's going to get in and hit pay dirt for the first time of the day. The Thunder extend their lead on the first touchdown. It's the sophomore, Jeremiah Tucker, scoring, using his legs, getting to the outside.
Yeah, a lot of times when you put the running back behind the quarterback like that, everyone thinks power run. This is a smart play. You see Xavier Holly attacks downhill a little bit too fast and then slips. And as soon as you see the slip, Tucker knows he's got the speed to get to the corner and take that himself.
And he had the pitch, too. There was no one on Carter either. And the kick is up and good, so the Thunder will make this a 2-score game. It's 12-0. with 9 minutes and 6 seconds to go. You see, Carter had plenty of space, too, if Tucker couldn't take it himself.
Right. Anytime the quarterback can get there himself, you want him to, though, especially with the speed of Tucker and a wet football. Minimize your chances. That time Tucker tucks it into the end zone. That's his third rushing touchdown of the season. So nice to see that package get to the edge a lot.
Thunder will be back to kickoff now, and this lets you breathe just a little bit easier heading into halftime. Although 9 minutes left is still plenty of time. Rain looking like it's coming down a little bit harder now, a little more visible up here from the press box. And
yeah, this kickoff might land in Naperville with the wind at his back, and as far as he kicked it into the wind, they might have to fish this one off the roof of the BGC.
Yeah, this will be a bomb that's going to clear the back of the end zone.
Yeah, that's about right. Other scores around the conference. Milliken leading Elmhurst 14-0 down in Decatur. Over in Naperville, North Central with a 49-0 lead over Carthage. North Park and Carroll tied at 7 down in Chicago. And the surprising score of the conference, Wash U leading Illinois Wesleyan 21-0 down in Bloomington. Again, Illinois Wesleyan playing without their star quarterback Brandon Bauer, who had a hand injury a couple weeks ago. So that offense struggling against the Bears, who were due for a recovery week after they got bullied around here at McCullough Stadium last week.
Yeah, certainly. It'll be the Vikings offense back out on the field. Handoff. Ooh, sidestepping a tackler, but then getting bowled over in the backfield is Jarris.
Yeah, that play is made by Dallas McCray, who slides right towards the action. You're going to see 54 beat his initial block, force him back, and Ryan Schwartz recognizes it right away, and he's up to cutting around the backside, and him and Corey Kennedy. And Kennedy's been a little frustrated. He's told the coaching staff, it feels like I'm not playing well because he hasn't had many tackles. Well, a lot of reason for that is because guys aren't getting to his level of the field when you have defensive line play the way Wheaton has had.
That's a good problem to have for a defense.
It is.
Now making something happen on the outside is getting back to the line of scrimmage is Fuller.
Yeah, good pursuit by Wyatt Lee, but also a heads-up play by Jacobs there at the last second to move that ball from the inside to the outside. You're going to watch Wyatt Lee, he's the spy. As soon as he steps up, here's Wyatt Lee coming into the picture. And at the last second, Jacobs moves it to the backside, and you could see Wyatt Lee was coming right for it, right where he was holding the ball on the inside.
8:03 left in the quarter. And now dropping back. That ball is just wide left from Jacobs.
And again, it's personnel questions. I don't understand if you're going to drop back and pass why you're doing it with Jacobs when Fuller's the better of the two pocket passers. If you're going to have Jacobs in the game, you've got to get him out of the pocket. You've got to let him be athletic. Fuller's the guy, if you're going to drop back and pass, it's got to be in the game there.
And we saw them do that a little bit. It was questionable when the wind was with them, but now they're doing it with the wind against them, which just stacks things up
right
against Jacobs.
At least the first time they were trying to get him out of the pocket and give him an option. That time, that's a play design that's better for Fuller.
See the punt team back out on the field for Augustana. Justin Ware is back. We see Nichols' feet planted at the 40 for the return. This one will be low. Nichols will field it right where he started.
Really nice
to go
kick.
to the right side.
Yeah, really nice kick there. Into the wind, you keep it low, you drive it, give your coverage team time to get down there, and then Nichols does all he can because it's well covered. Augustana really doing a nice job on that unit in all elements, protecting, releasing, and then getting the tackle.
Yeah, I thought Nichols was going to bounce it out to the outside. He tries to cut it up and is able to get a couple extra yards, but three guys right there ready to bring him down.
Yeah, and that's good because Augustana is statistically one of the worst punt coverage teams in the country. They're dead last in the conference. They're allowing over almost 14 yards of return to their opponents.
7:37 will be the time on the clock when the Thunder take over. Anthony under center. Dropping back and handing off up the middle to Smith, and Smith was met at the line. Will push the pile ahead to maybe gain one.
And again, yards are going to be tough to come by because Augustana is stacking the box, getting everybody involved as much as they can. You can see TJ Williams come back in here for the Thunder.
Williams will line up on the left side of Anthony. Back in the shotgun. 2nd and 9. Play fake, looking to the right side, stepping up, and Anthony shovels it over to Williams, and he gets out of bounds.
Yeah,
I thought that ball was loose.
That's pretty good presence of mind knowing where your release valve is, and TJ, to his credit, was watching for it because that's a backwards lateral when it comes out of his hand. But again, it's Jaden who beats Drew Smith. I think the bigger concern if you're the Thunder is how bad your tackles are getting beat today.
And it doesn't help that one of your starters is out.
Yeah.
3rd and 11. Anthony, now a straight drop back. Little pump fake, looking up long. Torini's open over the middle if it's got enough. It does. Torini's going to haul it in and race to the end zone for a touchdown, Thunder.
Yeah, that's impressive there. It's a nice job by the running back. TJ Williams steps up and double teams the Jaden on that left side, and that gives Luke Anthony enough time to stay in the pocket. It's only a 3-man rush, and then he just gets Torini loose behind the defense. Here at the top, they stonewall Jaden. That gives him the time, and then it's just a matter of letting Torini use his speed because he left, that's the freshman Frank Gimarusti in the dust there.
18-0 the score before the extra point. We will see if Bose can put this one through. And he does. Scores 19-0 with 6:47 to go. The Thunder finally looking like they're getting something going on these last two drives.
And this is a little more like it. Getting the Thunder, Luke Anthony looking a little more comfortable in the passing game. The feet are still moving a little bit too much, but he knows he's protected that time because they hold the running back in. And another way that you can give him more time is to keep the running back in the backfield, keep the tight end in to protect. And that time they do so with TJ, and he's able to buy him the time that he doesn't have to take off and run for it.
And so as Augustana takes a little extra time to get on the field here, you see the Augustana offense huddled up over on the other side of the track, talking there with one of their coaches. And now as the kicking team or kick receive team takes the field, this offense is going to be feeling like they need to get something done here before half.
Well, Augustana's had several terrific opportunities. I mean, prime cut opportunities that they haven't taken advantage of, and I think they're going to, as this game progresses, that's going to be a big turning point in this game.
Bose another deep one, maybe just a couple yards short of the previous kick, but still well long enough to warrant the touchback. And so Augustana will take over at the 25-yard line, down 19-0 with 6:47 left in the half.
And for Augustana, this might end up being a run-first drive where you try to give your defense, even if you can't pick up the first down, you've got to give them a chance to catch their breath, because all that speed is a little tiring to chase down.
And this is obviously the most stout defense that Augustana has faced this year, but they haven't been able to get anything going with Jarris, as he's averaging 5 yards a carry on the year. Certainly nowhere near there today. Only 8 yards gained on 7 attempts.
They're going to start with Fuller here as we continue to track their quarterback personnel.
Handoff to Jarris. He works off tackle and rushes forwards for a couple yards.
Yeah, it's not
got hit from the back and kind of got pushed forwards.
It's not pretty, but it's what you have to do, and they do a nice job getting they pull a couple guys and they get into the legs of Ryan Schwartz. That's the center, Matt McKay, who ends up getting him enough room, and now we've got a man down for the Thunder. And just a quick personnel check, that might be Schwartz.
Clock will stop with 6:36 to go, and both teams will head to the sideline. It's going to be a 2nd down and 7 for Augustana when they come back out, as that was a gain of 3 by Bobby Jarris.
And that's the problem when you see cut blocks in space, is that when you're going around the knees, it's dangerous. And now Schwartz is going to have to be ushered off the field. Now he is walking off with a fair amount of pressure on there, and he wasn't down for very long, so there's some promise there for the Thunder, but they're already a little short on that unit. You lost Daniel Herber for the season with an ACL, and now you see Schwartz getting off, and he's been the heart and soul of this defense in the middle. Their leading tackler at 45 tackles. Fielding Davis is going to take over in the middle, the junior out of Houston, Texas. And Davis has a lot of experience. He's been a special teams ace for a few years now, and he's more than capable, but Schwartz is a special player. There's no just stepping in and bringing the same presence.
Back on the line of scrimmage, the clock starts again, as this one's going to be a quarterback keep.
And that's Jacobs. And that's what you have to be aware of. Jacobs hasn't kept it yet, but he's the better athlete of the two quarterbacks, and he's the threat to keep the ball whenever he's in the game.
Breaking open through the hole. First hit there was by Corey Kennedy, reaching the 2nd level. 3rd and 1. Augustana just 1 first down on the game so far. Looking to get their 2nd on 3rd and short. Jacobs will keep it again, and he breaks through. There's only one man to beat, and he tries to cut back across the middle, still gaining yards up to the 25. He'll finally be chased down.
Really impressive pursuit play by River Schindeldecker, but again, you've got to be aware of personnel. You can let Jarris go on that because Jacobs is the better athlete. They do a nice job protecting on the backside, and Corey Kennedy is the guy that gets sucked too far inside, chasing the running back. Huge run, their biggest play of the game for Augustana.
And they needed 1, and they got 40 from Jacobs.
And now you've got some movement here on the front line for Augustana, so they're going to back themselves up after the big play.
It does look like it's still going to be Jacobs out
Prior
there.
snap, false start, offense, number 74, 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
It's Chaz Williams, left tackle.
Be on the 31, 1st and 15 with 5:41 to go. Once again, it's Jacobs back there with Jarris. And he will hand it off, a little counter, looking to work his way back to the right side. And
yeah, that's Antonio Cannon. That's their number 2 running back. And he and Jaros, the two guys, pretty similar size, 5'8", 190, 5'8", 180 between the two. And they'll come right back with Jarris. We've not seen much of Ethan Jennings today. He's been isolated to the top side. Spencer Rowland's done a really nice job kind of keeping him as a bystander in the offense today.
Now dropping back, looking to the right side, completing the pass.
And that is Jennings, right as we say it. Good ball there from Jacobs. He stands in the pocket well, knows there's pressure coming. And a nice job by Jennings to get low where he can use his body to help himself with the catch. 3rd and 8 here for Augustana.
And Jacobs will stay in. 3 receivers on his left and 1 on his right. 3rd and 8 coming from the 24.
Pressure.
Snap back, tons of pressure, getting it away, but over the middle, dangerous off the arm of Corey Kennedy.
Yeah, and no surprise, CJ loves to dial it up there in those situations, and they're going to keep him in the 4th and long. And it's the late man Fielding Davis that I think forced it out. The other thing you had was they're running double drags, but they're running it around the umpire there in the middle of the field, and I think his presence put a wrench in things.
And it's 4th and 8. Still coming from the 24. Same exact formation look as the previous play.
And I wouldn't be surprised if CJ does it again, and he does.
Here it comes, trying to work his way outside, using his legs. Jacobs will get to the sideline, throwing it back across the body, across the middle. Incomplete.
That's the time you're fine with a quarterback throwing it back across the middle when it's 4th down and you've got no other opportunity, but you at least give your team a chance to make the play. Good job by Schindeldecker to get a deep pursuit angle. He doesn't let him turn the corner, but there's just nobody there. And the encouraging thing is they're kind of retaping Ryan Schwartz here, and it looks down in front of us. It looks like he's going to go back into the game. So there was some initial concern when they started doing the test, but right away it looks like he's going to be okay. And that's a huge sigh of relief for the Thunder.
It'll be 1st and 10 on the 31 for this Thunder offense with 4:20 to go. Handoff up the middle to Williams. TJ breaks through the linebackers and then works his way up past the secondary, gaining 20 yards on the carry.
And again, that's that patient running of TJ Williams. There's not much there, but he's going to let it develop, sees where the hole finally sets up, and he just kind of weaves his way in and out of the Viking defense before he's finally brought down around midfield.
49-yard line, so it's a gain of 18 for TJ. Moves the chains. Now it's a play fake. Looking over the middle again is Anthony, and Nichols is open. Just overthrown by a little bit. Nichols diving, can't quite get there.
Yeah, and there's two schools of thought here. With Torini, with the guy trailing, you do want to lead him and let him run under it. That one, Phil Nichols is open, but he's got a guy over the top. Drill that ball in there. Put that thing on a line where you can get to Nichols sooner, and never brings the safety into play. And the safety was David Lane, who took a good pursuit angle and was able to close in on Nichols. But that ball's got to be driven. When you see numbers like that in space, deliver it and let Nichols make a play.
Now a roll out to the right. Anthony's looking long. It's Nichols again, slotting this one in, and Nichols making the catch.
That's a heck of a throw. Wet ball, small pocket, and he's able to get it to Nichols on the comeback to the sideline. That's a heck of a throw from Luke Anthony.
Yeah, around 3 defenders in the area, just squeezing it in. Another 18-yard gain, just past the outstretched arm there of the defender.
This has been a much more impressive quarter from the Thunder. They had only 49 yards, or excuse me, they struggled in the first quarter, but they've looked much more fluid here in the second.
Anthony looking to pass again. Pressure, but he stays in the pocket,
Wow.
floats it over the middle, wide open, running into the end zone is Nate Magnuson.
Yeah, that should have been roughing the quarterback too, but nice job by Luke Anthony. He looks off the safety, moves him to the other side, and Magnuson pops open into that window where it was just vacated for his first career touchdown.
And he's happy about it.
Should be. Big moment for Nate Magnuson.
25-0. And you'll see the hit there just at the very end of that replay, but a little wobbly, but wide open in the center. Luke Anthony stays in the pocket, delivers it to Magnuson for the TD.
Yeah, and it's cover 2, so that's the weak spot. Right there through the middle of the field, and Luke Anthony does a good job. He holds the safety over near the numbers with the look, and then Nate Magnuson cuts right through the seam. Watch the eyes of Luke Anthony. He's going to look outside quickly. That's going to hold the safety, but he knows he's got Magnuson coming up the middle. It's just eye play that moves that safety and opens that play up. That's some really impressive stuff from Luke Anthony there.
And now we're seeing what seems like a totally different Thunder team here in this second quarter. Finally breaking things open. 26-0 lead after the extra point with 3:16 to go in the half.
Well, you know, it's what's been one of the more impressive things for this Thunder squad is we haven't seen the mental lapse quarter from them at all this season. So they were kind of due for it. I mean, you get 7 weeks into the year, and when you haven't had that letdown at all, you kind of keep saying, well, it's bound to happen. And you might chalk some of that up to the first quarter, but you've also got a much improved Augustana team. That Wheaton took the initial punches, and including going against the wind, and they've got some stuff to sort out for sure, because you're still a little unsure of being able to block with your tackles, but it's getting better, and it's looking more like what we've seen the last few weeks from the Thunder.
Bose sends it away. This one just going to be a couple yards deep into the end zone. Take a knee and take it out to the 25-yard line for the start of this Vikings drive. And it will be 3:16 for the Vikings as they look to make something happen here before halftime. The Thunder defense already out on the field, looking ready to go, and they've been having a good day.
Yeah, and nobody's used a timeout here, so if Augustana tries to, I would expect Wheaton to maybe use one or two here to give its offense as much time as possible at one more score here before you get to halftime.
Take a look at personnel. It does look like it's Fuller out at the QB spot now. Motion across the middle. Handoff to Jarris. Breaking through and getting up to the 36-yard line.
And that's what we talked about at the top.
Yeah.
If you can move linebackers, move personnel, force them to hesitate for just a little bit, you're going to buy yourself some running room. And that time they do. You see Corey Kennedy come flying at the jet guy because that's his responsibility, but you're able to hold the linebackers in place, and Ryan Schwartz is right back out there, which is a great sight for the Thunder.
Gain of 6, 2nd and 4, 31-yard line. Another handoff to Jarris. Tries to cut it back. He's going to be swallowed up.
Again, it's 54. It's Dallas McCray who comes diving across the face of this play and runs it back to Pat O'Connell, who stays disciplined. That's a nice job by O'Connell. He doesn't track down the line. He stays home. He's right where he should be, and he makes the play in the backfield, backs it up to 3rd and 9.
We'll see Fuller stay out on the field. 3 wide receivers on the left side. 1 on the right as the clock ticks down right to about 2 minutes. Jarris is on his right hip. And a straight drop back. Jarris goes to block in the middle, and now backtracking, working his way through the line of scrimmage, floating it up in the air.
Wow.
Ball is complete, and there's going to be a flag.
That's a really impressive play by Fuller and also the wide receiver Jennings. Fuller does all he can to extend this play and just give himself a chance to get downfield, and then Jennings is going to work around what's going to be called defensive pass interference and able to get back to the football and make a catch.
Pass interference, defense. That penalty is declined. 1st down.
Not a whole lot more Spencer Rowland can do. You're asking him to defend for a really long time, and whenever you get into scramble drill defense, you're man-to-man. Nice play by a couple seniors there, Fuller and Jennings.
And it gives Augustana a much-needed 1st down. Clock now 1:50, still ticking.
Yeah, that's big for the Vikings here. Not only do you get across midfield, but that's some important time you're able to work.
Jarris hitting the hole and gaining 3 yards before he's brought down.
And you kind of want to see what Augustana is going to do. You don't want to call timeout and aid them into a hurry-up. And at this point, I think if you're the Thunder, you kind of just sit back and you play to get to halftime with the score where it is.
Fuller out on the field. Jarris right behind him. Straight handoff up the middle, dancing in the backfield, and then met by a wall of Thunder defenders.
Yeah, even though Ryan Schwartz comes out of there with the football, you've got to just pick a lane there if you're Jarris. Nice play by Pat O'Connell to hold the spot. And he's the guy that slow plays that enough. I'm a little surprised Augustana chose to hand off there, because you've got some momentum going, and you're getting yourself with 3 timeouts left. You're getting yourself into a position where you can start to attack a little bit and maybe get some points.
40 seconds to go as this ball snapped. Fuller drops back. Short little dump off, and it's incomplete to Jarris, just a little high.
Yeah, and that's just rush from Fuller. That's kind of, if you're Augustana, I really like that play call. You'll just let him leak out, get him into space. The hope there is that he can get 5 to 6, and you're at 4th and 2.
And it looked like there was some room for him to make something happen there.
And with 34 seconds, and the ball, I think if you pick that up, you complete that, yes, you're going to go for it. But with the ball that close to midfield, Wheaton's hit on a couple big passing plays, you're going to punt this one away.
Nichols is at the 10-yard line. Once again, the punt into the wind. It's a little high on the snap. This one going to come down at right about the 20-yard line, check up, and go out of bounds at the 21.
And this will probably be a kneel down.
26 seconds to go. The Thunder will take control, and they'll take it at the 21-yard line. They'll trot out the offense here, and we will get a chance to see whether they opt for the kneel down. We're assuming that they will, and it does certainly look like it.
Yeah, it's the right call, deep in your own field, where you've struggled at times to move the football. So this is the right call for Wheaton. You feel okay at halftime. You've got a lot you can clean up. And if you fancy yourself a team of the talent of Wheaton where they stand in the national picture, there certainly needs to be some accountability to what's happened so far this game, and that probably starts with number 69, Clay Wagner, who hasn't played in the second quarter because he was tossed in the first quarter with 2 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. So there's got to be some accountability for where Wheaton struggled there in the first half, but you certainly feel good that you were able to recover and get to halftime leading 26-0.
And that is the score, 26-0. The Thunder lead after a slow start in the first quarter. Worked it back to have this lead heading into halftime. We will be back. Thanks for joining us on WTSN. We'll be back after the half in just a couple minutes.
Be inspired as you seek to make a difference in the lives of children as an elementary, middle, or high school teacher.
Be challenged by a strong academic program that prepares you for the leadership skills needed to lead a classroom.
Be equipped with the strategies and tools from experienced professors in a program that boasts a 100% passing rate for all licensure exams.
Be inspired to lead others to the Christian faith as professional English language teachers serving across the globe.
Be challenged as you dive deep into learning about other cultures while understanding how to create the bridge between English and the native language of your students.
Be equipped as you gain valuable skills and lessons from leading researchers and teachers in the field who have decades of experience and whose work spans 6 continents.
Be inspired by diving deep into the study of the Bible and understanding the theology behind our faith.
Be challenged with advanced study of biblical and theological knowledge.
Be equipped to expand your knowledge, build your academic skills, develop critical reflection, and serve for Christ in His kingdom.
Be inspired as you grow in your ministry and collaborate with other leaders like you.
Be challenged, stretch your thinking, and deepen your understanding of your mission.
Be equipped to raise your level of leadership as you raise up faithful followers of Christ.
Be inspired to serve a world filled with justice and suffering.
Be challenged with a rigorous academic program that trains you to analyze psychological theory and research from a faith-based worldview and apply it to serve the needs of individuals and families in need of healing.
Be equipped to integrate your Christian faith and practice with the best of contemporary scholarship and professional standards in the disciplines of clinical psychology, counseling, and marriage and family therapy.
We are back here inside McCulley Stadium on the campus of Wheaton College. Thanks for joining us on the Wheaton Thunder Sports Network for today's game between the 5th-ranked Wheaton College Thunder and Augustana Vikings. I'm Abram Erickson once again with Rusty Lindsay here on WTSN, and we are set to go for the second half where the Thunder lead 26-0 after halftime. After a pretty slow start in the first quarter, eventually got things to click on offense and broke this one open. Augustana yet to do so. Still looking for their first score of the game.
Yeah, you look at the total stats. Wheaton had 46 yards on 19 plays in the first quarter. The second quarter, they end up with almost 200 yards on another 17 plays. So they finished the half with 230 total yards. Augustana had 23 yards on 16 plays. They finish with a little over about 75 yards in the second quarter. They finished 37 plays for 105 yards. We kind of expected it would be a problem given the weather. It has been. Passing has been hard to come by, but Luke Anthony struggled to start 1 of 4, but he has since completed 8 of his last 9 for 156 yards and 2 touchdowns. He did throw the pick on the first play of from scrimmage of the game. He's thrown 2 touchdowns. He's been sacked twice. TJ Williams leading the rushing attack, 6 carries for 40 yards. Will Smith, 6 for 22. Luke Anthony's had a couple of nice runs, but the sacks have brought him back to only 8 carries for 10 yards. Jeremiah Tucker had the 2-yard touchdown run. Receiving-wise, Adam Torini, 2 for 74 and a touchdown. Nichols, 3 for 50. Nate Magnuson, 1 for 32 and a touchdown. For the Vikings, Alec Jacobs, their leading rusher, behind a 40-yard rush there late in the first half. And that's been the crux of the offense for the second quarter. They were really struggling in the second until that 40-yard run. He's got 4 carries for 42 yards. Bobby Jarris, 12 for 12. Antonio Cannon, 1 for no gain, and Zach Fuller's been sacked twice. He has 3 carries for negative 19 yards. Fuller is 5 of 14 through the air for 63 yards. Jacobs, 1 of 3. He's also been sacked once. Ethan Jennings, 2 of 36, a long one of 29 coming on the broken play. And that's a lot of their offense. Tom Dolis had 2 early catches for 19 yards, but it's been all Thunder since the second quarter after a pretty disappointing first quarter. They seem to come out flat, and a lot of mental lapses. Augustana came out with an edge, as you would expect. Mm-hmm. They were disappointed by the way they finished against North Central, that they got beat so poorly in the first half, where they were down 35-7 at halftime and never really had a chance. And that game finished 42-14, so they came out ready to go, and you got to give them a lot of credit. And their defensive line has looked very good throughout the first half, but the secondary breakdowns leading to some big passing plays for the Thunder really been the biggest issue. They opened with the Griffin Bose field goal, then the River Schindeldecker safety. Off the safety, the 2-yard touchdown run by Jeremiah Tucker, and then 2 passing touchdowns, 57 to Torini, 32 to Nate Magnuson.
And you mentioned Schindeldecker's name, forcing the safety there. He's been the big star on the defensive side of the field for the Thunder in terms of stat line, 2.5 sacks, as we talked about. But Dallas McRae been really the big story. Maybe doesn't show up on the stats, but has just been disrupting every play this game.
Yeah, he only has 3 tackles, only half for a sack, only a half tackle for loss. That was the other half of the sack, along with Schindeldecker. But he has disrupted a ton of run plays, forced a lot of cutbacks. Really has been an unstoppable force there in the middle of the defense today for the Thunder, even though only the 3 tackles. He's been in on almost every play. He's drawn 2 or 3 holding penalties already. The flags were of great concern early. You look at the penalties now. Wheaton, 4 penalties for 35 yards. Augustana, 4 for 40. And the reason the yardage is so low on the 4 penalties is because 3 of the 4, I believe, were half the distance to the goal line penalties, so they weren't fully enforced. And 2 of those 4 were personal fouls against Clay Wagner that forced him to be ejected from the game due to the 2 personal foul rule that was put in place last year. It's the first time we've seen it, where we've seen two personal fouls actually lead to the ejection, and it came in just 10 minutes. So it'll be interesting to see what Wheaton does coming out of the halftime break. They've been very good. They've been a very good second half team, highlighted mainly in that North Central game, and they've made some pretty good adjustments. We'll see how they try to slow down the defensive ends for the Vikings. Those 2 guys, Xavier Holly and Daniel Jaden, have been very disruptive for the Vikings, and it was actually those 2, I believe it was Jaden that actually drew both of them, that forced the ejection of Clay Wagner.
And Augustana is going to come out with the football here to start the second half, and so they'll look to get something going early. As we mentioned, they just haven't been able to yet. towards the end of that second quarter, things started maybe looking up after the big run, especially by Jacobs, but then that gets negated as well. It turns into a 4 and out for Augustana, and gives the Thunder the ball back, which they then kneel it out and run down the clock in the second half.
Yeah, I was a little surprised after that big run by Jacobs they didn't try to press the issue a little bit. You're down 26, you've got the ball across midfield, you've got time on your side and 3 timeouts still, given that it's late in the half. A little surprised they didn't push the gas a little more. Augustina's biggest issue came in the first quarter. They had 2 top-shelf opportunities where they started, I believe, at the Wheaton 23 on one time. I mean, their drive starts in the first quarter were outstanding. And they had the turnover right around midfield, and then they blocked the punt and took over at the Wheaton 23. Got no points off either one of those. One was a 3-and-out, one was the missed field goal. So those missed opportunities you just can't have on the road against a team of Wheaton's caliber.
And one of those was started on first down by a big sack by the Thunder that drove them out of position, and then the second was a penalty. And so both of those mistakes just caught really, really costly for this Augustana team. They'll now take the field to look to start this second half, and rain coming down probably as hard as it has all day. Just continuing to stay pretty constant all throughout this one. And it's certainly going to continue to be a factor throughout the game.
Yeah, we're going to need a football here at some point to start the half. The referees are looking everywhere on the Thunder sideline trying to find a football. Griffin Bowe's just standing over the tee.
And I don't see any of our ball boys.
It's a great point. That's also of concern.
And the referee's going to now head towards maybe underneath the bleachers to search one out, but you see players jumping up and down on both sidelines, looking to stay warm, staying dry. Was
here come the ball boys, so that's promising in itself.
And they're coming down onto the track now, so we'll be a little delayed for the start of the second half, but looks like we will be in time.
We have produced a football, and I believe we can finally play football.
Bose will finally get to tee it up and send this one away.
We mentioned the scores around the CCIW. One game of note to keep an eye on nationally. In the second half, Hardin-Simmons, number 15 team in the country, leading at Mary Hardin-Baylor 7-6. And that's always been a close game. That usually determines, gives one of those teams a heads up and lately it's been Mary Hardin-Baylor almost all the time, but it's given a team a head start into the playoffs. But if Hardin-Simmons can finish that off, that's a game that will send shockwaves across the Division III landscape and open up a number 1 seed possibility for the Thunder in the playoffs.
Deep kick by Bose will roll all the way to the other side of the track, and it'll be a touchback. Augustana will look to start things out on the 25-yard line.
Around the conference, Milliken over Elmhurst 14-0. North Central over Carthage 55-6. I believe that's actually 55-0. I think that's just the misprint there on the live stats. 7-7 Carroll North Park, and Wash U continuing to lead Illinois Wesleyan 21-0. Excuse me, 32-0 Milliken over Elmhurst, as that is just updated. Another top 25 game to watch, Bethel 21-0 over Concordia Moorhead, a game that'll have some ramifications for North Central in the Pool C bid.
Opening snap.
Hey, look, there's Dallas.
Right to Jarowitz, and he's taken down by McRae, and that'll be a tackle for loss.
Yeah, you watch Dallas McRae, he just beats his guy quickly. And the impressive thing was he beat the center on the wrong side of the play and got all the way around the center, Matt McKay, and still made the tackle for a 3-yard loss.
2nd and 13. We see Fuller starting out at quarterback. Jacobs was in there for most of that final drive. At the end of the second quarter there, Fuller comes back onto the field to start the second half. Little screenplay that's just incomplete.
Really good recognition from Jake Holliday, and actually Dallas McRae was trailing the running back coming out as well. Intended for Antonio Cannon. They've got a flag down. I'm not so sure Schindeldecker didn't get. It might be a holder against the tackle because Schindeldecker got uphill pretty quick there. Yeah, he's asking the Wheaton sideline. That's going to be the left tackle, Chaz Williams, who has had some problems
Personal
today.
foul.
Ooh.
Grasping the face mask. Offense, number 74. Half the distance to the goal. 2nd down.
So it was not holding. He just got his hands into the face mask of Schindeldecker as he got around. And that's one of the ways to slow down an aggressive defensive line. You run the screen game, but it was well recognized by Holiday, who was actually was able to hold up Cannon for a second, and he was right there around his feet along with Dallas McCray. Now Wheaton's going to go to that 5 defensive lineman look. They just want to go one-on-one all the way across the line. They're going to drop into coverage everywhere else as Grant Miller comes in as that 5th defensive lineman.
14:23 to go. Fuller takes the snap, looks to the right side, little out route. He's going to connect with the receiver, and he's going to be complete to Byrne.
Yeah, that's you're going to see. You see the zone look. You're going to see the safety not able to get there in time as that's Byrne coming out of the slot. Easy pitch and catch, but it's not for very much gain, and you end up with 3rd and 17 here from your own 18-yard line.
And now we see just 3 up on the line.
Yeah, this is bringing in Grodelution as an extra defensive back.
And it's a handoff up the middle, and that'll be taken down.
Yeah, you're happy to give that up. Handoff is rarely going to get 17 yards again when you've got that many guys downfield as Schwartz comes in to stop the run, and that will bring on the punt unit for Augustana. So disappointing start to the half for the Vikings.
And it all started with the penalty. That's what pushed him back after that first play, and we've seen him have costly penalties before earlier where they've been marched out of good field position. This time they didn't have great field position, put him into an even worse spot. Low kick.
Look out. Yeah, that was running right up the back of Robbie Schwartz, and the late fire call from Nichols, who turns around and applauds his guy for getting out of the way. Burt McJunkin got body slammed to the ground way behind that play, and the officials just send them to their respective sidelines. But it's a good heads-up play by Nichols as the return man. You've got to be loud and forceful, and you got Robbie Schwartz out of danger there, and Wheaton will take over from their own 40.
And it will be 13:29 left on the clock when they do so. And so for their first drive of this second half, they'll begin with good field position. Anthony in the shotgun. TJ Williams right beside him. And 3 wide receivers on the right side. Or excuse me, 2 wide receivers on the right side. Snap, handoff, cut back to the right. Williams pushing forward, and he actually gets pushed back one of the few times we've seen that.
Yeah, you're going to give him 5 yards of progress, but there's no surprise to what either team is doing. Wheaton's coming in double tight. Augustina's walking linebackers right up to the line and trying to force themselves to stop the run by putting 7 and 8 guys right there up on the line of scrimmage. But good initial push by TJ. They end up giving him 4. And Will Smith will come in here. Clearly, TJ's not at 100% because otherwise he'd be getting the ball 25 times today. But we're seeing a lot of Will Smith giving him a breather.
2nd and 6. There's the handoff to Smith. Smith working forward and gaining a couple more yards. Probably give him 4 on that one as well.
Yeah, that's a nice job by Will Smith. Just lower your head through contact and goes right through the body of Luke Zawicki to get what he can. Servino does a nice job of forcing him back upfield. He wanted to get outside, but that's the middle linebacker, J.J. Servino, who forces him up the field and forces a 3rd down here.
Now it's going to be an empty backfield. 2 wide on each side as Anthony gets ready to go on 3rd and 3. Quick throw to the outside, and it's an interception. But it's a fumble.
It's incomplete. They ruled it incomplete.
Wow, and I think he just saw daylight off the sideline.
No surprise. I don't know who wouldn't. That's Zach Stewart who almost makes the catch. And, yeah, he's bobbling it the whole way and never brings it in. Interesting, that's the intended receiver there is a freshman running back, Jack Allen, and he never had his head looking for it. And so I'm not sure if they've got injuries at the wide receiver spot that they're putting in some new people, but that's an inexperienced play because that's got a quick hitter. Allen's got to have his head around right away knowing that that's not designed to get downfield. It's designed to get you the ball in time to make one cut and pick up the 1st down. Oh, it's a fake.
Fake and flipped out to the outside. He's going to rush forward and make it.
How about that?
Wow.
Mike Swider talked about having some things in the playbook for Spencer Peterson against North Central because of his athleticism. With Corey Kennedy back there now, it's just a simple option. Just pitches it out to the punter, Bickle. And that's a nice block on the near side by Jack Miller, the tight end. And Bickle shows his athleticism. Bickle's a pretty good high school baseball player before an arm injury forced him to choose punting. And we saw his athleticism trying to get something off that broken punt earlier, and he picks up a first down.
And the Thunder, new life here with the 1st and 10 from the 49.
Yeah, no surprise, they're going to go up top.
Play fake, and now running out of the pocket is Anthony, a stiff arm, and he'll work his way back to the line of scrimmage before he's forced out of bounds.
Still going to lose something there. You'd like to see him throw that away and just live to stay on schedule. But
It's
again,
again,
it's Jaden who just works right around Drew Smith.
So it will be 2nd and 12. They'll say a loss of 2 yards. Smith in the backfield. Nichols on the left side. Torini down on the right. Handoff to Smith. Smith breaks through a tackle and works his way up to the 45.
John Capel's going to get credit for the tackle, but he took a shot from Will Smith, and he just held on for dear life as Smith was churning away on him. Watch the hit that gets delivered right here on the safety by Will Smith as he drives him backwards a couple yards. And we talked about it last week against WashU. You've got to attack a guy like Will Smith. You can't sit and wait to make a tackle because he runs with such force. And that time, Capel sat down, and as soon as he did, Will Smith just lowers the head and gets right through the body of the safety.
3rd and 6, ball on the 45-yard line. Terrell Brown down at the bottom of your screen. And that's where he's going to look. He's going to throw it out to Brown. Brown reaching out and diving, will not make the catch.
Boy, a lot of handwork there against Zach Stewart. I'm a little surprised they didn't throw the flag. Wheaton clearly worried about Daniel Jaden because the running back's one job is to help Drew Smith there. And just a little too far for Terrell Brown down the near sideline.
So it'll bring out the punt team again.
Should force a correction there. That's number 7, but that's not Kennedy as the up back right now. That's David Beamer, the quarterback, who's serving as the up guy.
It's a 4th and 6, and it is snapped back to Bickle. There's a flag down on the bottom of your screen. This one's going to bounce down
so good at that.
That's great. There's a flag that was thrown right at the time of the snap.
Well, if it's against Augustana, it's 4th and 1, and you might see Wheaton keep the offense on there to just go for it, but I'm not so sure they didn't jump a little early. I think if I'm Augustana, I'm forcing him to kick it again.
Mm-hmm.
Given that they've already blocked one.
Illegal formation. Kicking team. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, 4th down.
Yeah, and that's another focus penalty because they just didn't have enough guys on the line of scrimmage, even though Mike Swider's livid on the near sideline. And they are going to force him to kick it again. You could hear him screaming loud enough that it got picked up in the ref's mic when he went to announce the penalty. So back it up 5 yards, and they will force Wheaton to punt again.
Thunder getting up on the line before the ball's moved back.
You had everyone lined up on the original line of scrimmage. Interesting formation. We've got some interesting punt formations, a lot of wrinkles to this package.
Augustana, a lot of pressure. Bickle gets that one off.
Look out.
And a big hit.
Man, that's 2 weeks in a row that Caleb Egbert's been teed up on a punt coverage. A little surprised given the hang time that there wasn't a fair catch called for, and Egbert did a good job. He shut that down a couple steps before, knowing that he had to time it right, and he was right on the returner as soon as he touched the football.
It'll be 10 minutes even as Augustana trots out on the field to look to start things, and as we have talked before, it's now Alex Jacobs that we see at the quarterback position.
Yeah, Jacobs, I think, is the bigger threat going this way with the rain when you're going into the wind, is you want that running threat. Sure enough, he keeps.
And it will be Jacobs who...
Nice job by McRae because he was about to take off.
Almost broke through the line there.
We talked about it at the top. When Fuller's in there, when they run that option look, is that when Fuller's in, he's going to hand it off because you want to give the ball to Jarris. But with Jacobs in the game, you want to play keep. You want to let Jarris get the football, and you've got to contain Alex Jacobs. Now they've got Antonio Cannon back there in the backfield with Jacobs, but you've got to look for quarterback run when Jacobs is in the game.
This time it will go off to Cannon, and Cannon will try to lean forward and gain a couple yards, but he's brought down after maybe just a very short gain. See the handoff here and see if we can get, looks like McCray who reaches out with that left arm and picks up the tackle. It's 3rd and 5. And we see Fuller back out here.
Big third down here for Augustana, just trying to build a little momentum. It looks like they've got man coverage.
He goes to the right side. Ball is up high,
Nice
and good
play.
defense.
Really good play by Spencer Rowland. Put his foot in the ground, got right back into the body of the receiver, Jennings, able to cut right with him at the first down marker.
And so it'll be the punt team that comes out on the 4th and 5, ball on the 17-yard line. That'll mean that punter Justin Ware will be just in front of the end zone line.
Should be good field position here for the Thunder. And the thing for Ware is if he's going to get enough hang time to give his return team time to get down there and get right on the body of Nichols.
It is a low kick, and once again, that lands dangerously close.
What are you doing?
Going for it.
Boy, that's just stupid stuff by Robbie Schwartz. I'm not sure if he thought the ball hit him the first time, but once the ball lands, yeah, I don't know if Schwartz thinks the ball hit him already.
And Nichols motions him off, and as soon as Schwartz goes for it, Nichols throws his arms up in the air as if to say, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. We do have a late flag down as well. Wheaton fortunate that that ball goes out of bounds.
Illegal batting. Return team, number 1. 10-yard penalty. First down, Wheaton.
So not only that, but he's going to get penalized for trying to bat the ball out of bounds.
And so that turns good field position into not so great field position here for Wheaton.
So yeah, it's going to be tough. Just like that, you go from the ball probably around the 40. They're going to assess the penalty, it looks like, from the 46. And you
So it'll be the 37 here for Wheaton as they look to start the drive.
Umpire just sitting there waiting for the teams to join him there at the 37.
Luke Anthony under center. Williams behind him. 3 wide to the right. Snap is fumbled. He still gets the handoff. Timing certainly messed up. Williams tried to string it out and just didn't gain anything.
Yeah, if anybody can make something of that, it's TJ Williams, but certainly not ideal, and TJ a little slow to get up on the near sideline.
Definitely gingerly works to his feet.
Yes, TJ certainly not close to 100%. Ends up getting a yard. But with the game in hand and the wet conditions, I'm not sure I want to put the franchise back out there again today.
Play fake, slant over the middle, complete to Nichols, and Nichols works his way past the 50-yard line, still moving forward. Progress is going to take him probably out to the 47.
Yeah, really good play call there. You run the RPO. You give Luke Anthony the opportunity to hand it off, keep, and this time he sees the window, delivers it right in there. That's the safety, David Lane, who gets the hit but doesn't wrap it off. He just tries to shoulder him off the ball, and Nichols rolls off the contact and able to get another couple of yards.
It's going to be marked at the 48-yard line, a first down there for Nichols. Smith stays in the game once again. Anthony moves under center. Handoff up the middle. Smith makes one cut and tries to bust forward. Gets maybe a yard and a half. See it here. It's the fake and then one cut for Smith trying to work his way up, and 4 Augustana players swarm him right as he meets the line of scrimmage. They'll say that he got 1, so it's 2nd down and 9. The shotgun look now with Carter coming into the Thunder backfield.
Yeah, we haven't seen much of the freshman today, but he was pretty impressive on a couple of runs last week.
Play fake. A little out route. Nichols hauls it in for the first down.
Yeah, Zach Stewart's actually in pretty good shape coverage-wise, but he doesn't attack the ball well, and Nichols gets down below him and is able to actually fight his way back to make that catch.
They aren't going to give him the first.
It's probably a good spot from where he ended up catching the ball. The thing that's interesting with Nichols is, and it's worth watching each week, is he's averaging over 100 yards, and he's on pace to become Wheaton's first receiver in quite some time with 1,000 yards receiving, so that puts him up to 72 as Jesse Scott's going to call timeout. Wheaton's looking around.
Timeout. Wheaton. They're first of the half.
First timeout we've seen today from either team.
Yep. Comes with 6:21 left in the third quarter. Not much action since halftime as it's the same score, 26-0. Neither team able to make much happen here on the offensive side. Rain continuing to come down and wind maybe even picking up a little here.
Yeah, this is probably the strongest we've seen the wind since right around kickoff. It kind of died a little bit in the first quarter, but it's pretty strong, 10 to 15 miles an hour going from our left to our right.
The Thunder back onto the field pretty quickly following the timeout. They'll bring Anthony in the shotgun with Will Smith on the right. Tarini down at the bottom of your screen. Carson Lean and Philip Nichols, the receivers up top. It's going to be 3rd down and 1. Ball is on the 39-yard line.
And I would be surprised if this is going anywhere than number 23.
There's the snap, and it is going to be roll out. Little pass completed and worked down to the 82. That is Jack Miller.
Yeah, that's the goal line action they tried to run that actually got them to the 1-yard line and set up the Jeremiah Tucker run, is that they run tight end across the formation, and they use the run fake to slow down the linebackers. It's just an extended handoff, essentially, from the quarterback to Jack Miller, and he's able to get it down to the 34. We've talked a little bit throughout the year about Wheaton's lack of involvement of the tight end, given that they've used the tight end so well over the last few years, so it's good to see Jack Miller get involved there.
Anthony drops back on first down. Good block by Smith to keep the play alive. Anthony works out to his right and finally just steps out of bounds.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that Augustana doesn't get away with one there because they bury Luke Anthony when he's trying to go out of bounds. This is another play, though, where I think you're starting to see why. Yes, Drew Smith gets away with a hold. It's good help from Will Smith. But Jack Miller is the guy who's on a quick out to the near side. As soon as they get into scramble drill, he turns his head away from the quarterback and he starts running downfield. When you're in scramble drill and the quarterback breaks contain, you've got to have your eyes in the backfield. Wherever you are, you've got to break it off and get back to help your quarterback. And Miller just kind of kept running and didn't make himself available.
5-yard loss on first down. This one, Nichols, and it slips through his hands.
Yeah, a little bit too high, but it's a small window, and it's just really good coverage from John Capel there, the safety. And Nichols kind of stepping that one off. That was a hard hit right into his back, but a little too high, but I don't know that he had a choice given that they had underneath coverage on that play to Zach Stewart.
So now it's 3rd and 15. Carter comes back into the backfield, replacing Will Smith. And on a 3rd and long, it'll be Carter in the backfield, 2 wide up top, and Tarini down in the bottom. Anthony looks to his left, now rolls to the right, throwing on the run to Nichols, and the ball falls incomplete.
Yeah, that's double covered, and I think the bigger concern for Wheaton is that's a 3-man rush, and they don't have it protected. You're going to see pressure come up the middle. Here, beating the double team of McGill and Paulina there, and force Anthony out of the pocket. It's a throw into an almost impossible window to Nichols, who's got 2 guys draped all over him.
4th and 15. Bickle once again out to punt.
Yeah, this is where he shines.
Going to come right about from the 50. Puts it up in the air, and it's going to land right just inside the end zone, probably only a yard off the line.
Yeah, because it checked up perfectly, and Egbert was on it. He was trying to get down there and bat that thing out of the end zone, but the rare touchback for John Bickle, I think that's just his 2nd or 3rd of the year.
5 minutes left in this third quarter. Still 26-0. Augustana going to take control here at the 25-yard line. Excuse me, it's going to be the 20-yard line here as they come out. Jacobs comes out as the QB.
Worth keeping the eye on. Hardin Simmons continues to lead Mary Hardin Baylor 14-12 down in Belton. That would be a big one and would open the door to the Thunder to getting a 1 seed.
Jacobs dropping back now, getting out of the pocket, racing forward and stepping out of bounds. He was tripped up right as he tried to get out by McRae.
Yeah, good job by Dallas of pursuing down the line because he knows Jacob's speed, so he's going to try to get parallel to the line of scrimmage as much as he can to not let him get contained. And he just takes a swat at the loose football that was out there, and Jacobs, with his athleticism, able to get him 2 yards.
2nd down and 8 from the 22-yard line. Jacobs there with Jarris on his right, 2 wide receivers. Handoff up the middle to Jarris. Jarris is brought down immediately.
Yeah, it's a nice play by, it looked like it was Pat O'Connell who was able to hold the spot initially. They're running right at him, and he just comes downhill and grabs the running back. It's a nice job by O'Connell to get in underneath the block. He's done it a couple times and has had a pretty nice game today, holding his responsibility on the backside of that line, and that time he just takes on the blocker and gets into the mesh point.
Clock ticks down to 4 minutes. Zach Fuller back in at quarterback on the 3rd and 6. Drops back. Looks outside, hit as he throws, but the pass is completed by Jarris, and a great open field tackle.
Boy, that's a great tackle by Ryan Schwartz, who left the game for a little bit earlier with what looked to be a knee injury, but he comes right back in, and he looked pretty healthy there. Good rush by Schindeldecker. He gets into the body of the quarterback, and then Schwartz, a terrific open field tackle to knock that thing all the way back to the 17-yard line. That's a loss of 6.
4th and 13. These two teams just trading punts back and forth throughout this third quarter.
And again, I think if you're Wheaton, you're fine with that because they're not gonna close in on you, and it becomes an opportunity to get out of this game healthy more than it's anything else.
This one very low, fair catch called for, and Nichols takes it at about the 48.
Now, if you're the Thunder, you've got a short field, you've got the wind at your back for another 3:12. This has to be a scoring drive for Wheaton. You've got to be able to get this thing down, or at least get yourself into a goal-to-go situation before you have to turn the field and go the other direction. Elsewhere around the conference, Wash U continues to lead Illinois Wesleyan 21-0 down in Bloomington, 7-7 between North Park and Carroll. Excuse me, that just updated 20-14 in the fourth quarter. Carroll leading North Park, 55-0 the final over in Naperville. The Cardinals defeating Carthage, and Milliken leading Elmhurst 34-0.
Handoff up the middle, and Will Smith gains 6 yards, laying a hard hit.
Yeah, Smith just doesn't absorb blows. That's what you like about Will Smith, is he delivers it. Does a nice job. Looked like he struggled to secure the handoff at first, which didn't let him get up to full speed for a couple steps. But then he just gets his head down and takes what the defense gives him, which is 5 yards.
And it's John Capel again, the safety there, that receives the brunt of that hit from Smith.
Yeah, second leading tackler, so he's involved a lot for this Augustana defense.
2nd and 5 to go. Handoff to the right side to Smith, and this time a great play made there by number 52.
Yeah, that's Sawicki, the all-conference linebacker, does a nice job getting into the hole and then pursuing downfield. And that might be one where they're trying to run counter action where it looks like he's going to run away from it, and then they come right back uphill. But Sawicki gets his hat in the hole early, and he shuts it down for no gain. So 3rd and 5 here. And for Augustana, this is a big one because we talked about the wind, that this is an opportunity for them to shut this drive down before Wheaton can capitalize on having the wind at their back.
Carter in the backfield, all 4 wideouts, Brown, Lean, Torini, and Nichols all out there. Little bunch to the left side. Going to Brown, and there's a lot of contact there. No flag is thrown, and it'll be a 4th down for...
Jesse Scott just kind of throws his arms up. So again, they're looking to take advantage of Terrell Brown, and again, it looks like he has a step on Zach Stewart. Stewart does a nice job getting his head around to see the football, and I think that's what gave him the benefit of the doubt in that situation. It's good underneath coverage. Terrell Brown, then when he tries to go through the body, that's a good defensive play by Zach Stewart.
And so with 1:43, the Thunder will punt it away yet again.
Yeah, missed opportunity for the Thunder, but nice job by the Augustana defense.
And that one goes out of bounds at about the 10-yard line.
Yeah, might have been a little afraid to put that thing farther downfield after what happened last time and pin that one a little too close to the sideline. But for Bickle, it is punt number 16 on the year that is down inside the 20-yard line. Well over 60% of his punts pin the opponents inside the 20, and we've got some conversations being had. Oh, there's a flag down right at the line of scrimmage.
Holding. Kicking team, number 46. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, 4th down.
Second penalty against the long snapper, Philip Barber, today. And, of course, they're going to make him punt it again.
With a guy like Bickle, I'm not sure that that's really going to
It's certainly not going to affect him, and I think he wants the challenge of doing better.
Exactly.
He's going to be able to air it out with the wind at his back now. Yeah, you got to be careful what you wish for with a guy like John Bickle.
Yeah, I think the only advantage is they have to snap it again with this wet ball. Bickle's got to catch it again, and a little bobble there, but he sends this one away. It bounces at the 18 and then fielded. Missed tackle down there by the 10. And then racing forwards to get to about the 16 maybe.
Yeah, initially a little bit skeptical of the return. He can't let that ball bounce, but he does a nice job of staying behind the bounce and then knowing he's got a little bit of room to pick it up. And then he just makes Egbert miss, and he's able to get out to the, they'll give him the 20, looks like the 21 on the return. So it's a nice job to just get about 10 yards or so on the return. But some poor tackling there from the Thunder between Egbert, Gers, and then finally brought down by Ben Locos.
And a lot of east-west running there by Capel, but he was able to turn it up when he needed to and kind of push forwards to gain those last couple of yards.
Yeah, they'll mark it at the 17, so it's about a 6-yard return.
1:22 left before Augustana switches sides of the field. They've been going into the wind all third quarter. Haven't been able to make much happen, and this is a handoff that is strung out to the right side by that's Cannon.
Yeah, again Fuller in the game, so you can play the running back a little harder on those mesh points. And Wyatt Lee does a nice job getting down there to make the tackle along with Pat O'Connell.
2nd and 9 now, just a 1-yard gain. Fuller will stay in the game. 45 seconds as the ball is snapped. And pass complete over the middle. It's completed to Byrne.
Yeah, Fuller took a hit. I don't know that he ever saw the pressure coming as he stood to deliver that ball, but nice completion underneath, but the Wheaton defense all over it, and a flag down. You're going to get a late hit against the left tackle, or excuse me, the center, Matt McKay, coming in with that block that you see right over the tackle spot.
It's going to push Augustana even further back.
Yeah, just a completely unnecessary penalty there.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 71 of the offense. Penalty be assessed. After this is a goal, 3rd down.
I've seen a lot of half the distance to the goal penalties. A lot of these penalties have been happening in that 15 to 25 yard part of the field.
2nd down, and they'll march it back to be 19. 2nd and 19.
This game kind of has all the feel of the Illinois Northwestern game at Wrigley a couple years ago where they could only go one direction. I don't think either team has possessed the ball inside the 30-yard line to our left all day today.
Fuller stays in, and it's Cannon who's on his left side. Motion across, and the handoff is to Cannon.
Nice play by O'Connell. He's just all over it. Really, really strong play from Pat O'Connell there. He's right there waiting for the handoff. And he makes the tackle as well after Cannon had to make the burst around him. And the tight end, Sam Jones, just judging by where he was on the field, made him look to be the guilty party of not being able to stop O'Connell. And that will bring us to the end of the third quarter.
The Thunder still lead 26-0 after 3 quarters here at McCulley Stadium. We're going to switch sides of the field. It'll be 4th and 16 when Augustana comes out.
The 2nd of the half. Please reset the game clock to 1 second.
Interesting.
1 second.
So Wheaton's going to force them to punt into the wind.
Yeah.
Some gamesmanship there by the Thunder, and I like it. Because you're making them punt from their own end zone. You've got the advantage of the wind in their face. Smart play here from the Thunder.
Yeah, and not a situation where you're going to expect to need your timeouts desperately later on, and so you can use one here.
Right, you figure you're about to go into that wind anyhow. You might as well shorten the field as much as you can. Because if they punt this thing, again, that would have been the fun thing is if we do switch fields, that's the first play that we'll have seen from that side of the field inside the 30 all game.
Yeah.
I think that's going to hold true.
Punter Ware is in the end zone. Low snap. Goes out to his right and kicks it right from the goal line. Fair catch by Nichols at the 39.
I guess I do want to apologize there. Wheaton did kick the field goal going that direction. That's the only possession we've seen that has possessed the ball that far that direction.
Well, the Thunder will have a good chance here as they'll start this drive out on the 39-yard line, simply needing about 10 yards to get inside the 30, and then it finally kind of break open into that territory, like you said, that they've only done one more time before. We'll start 15 fresh minutes on the clock here as we look to run things down in the matchup between the Thunder and the Vikings. Not much changed in that third quarter. 26-0 the score at halftime, 26-0 here at the start of the fourth. We see the referees attempting to dry that ball off with a towel.
Yeah, that's
still coming down.
That's a worthless endeavor.
Yep. As actually the track around the field gives us a really good gauge of how much water is continuing to puddle up in certain spots here. Shows us that this stuff is still coming down and it's accumulating. Especially the darker blue color that we see on the resurfacing really lets you see where the puddles are. So 1st and 10 from the 39. Anthony under center. Smith behind him. Play to Smith. Smith works his way up and gets just barely brought down, and before he broke that one open.
That's a big play-saving tackle because he was off to the second level if he doesn't get tripped up. Couldn't quite see the number. It looked like it was Sawicki, but just his ability to grab the shoelace saved them a big gain.
It's 4 yards on the carry, so it's 2nd and 6 from the 35. Back into the shotgun now is Anthony. Goes to Smith again. Smith, a couple jab steps back in the backfield and then brought down after maybe getting one.
Yeah, that's a patient 2 yards for sure. And looking down at the sideline, it looks like TJ Williams' day is done, which is the right call. They're putting the ice bag on. There's just no need. On this track, if you're not 100%, there's just no need to take a chance with someone that means so much to this offense. Quite honestly, going to Carroll next week, I don't know that I play him.
3rd and 4 from the 33. Shotgun again. Hand off to Smith. And Smith lunging forward. We'll see where they spot this ball.
Yeah, that's another. That's maybe a touchdown-saving tackle there. And for Smith, really good balance. He gets his hand down to give him another 3 yards here at the end of this play. And otherwise he's going to be brought down short. But he's also that's a touchdown if they don't grab the ankle there.
So it is a first down. 1st and 10 from the 28 now. Torini up top, Nichols and Lean down below. Nichols motions across the line of scrimmage and a roll out to the right for Anthony.
Yeah, something's wrong on that play design because you had two players running the same route within 5 yards of each other. You could have defended Nichols and Torini with the same guy here. You're gonna be able to see it at the very top. They're crossing over, but they end up in the same place.
And Torini was the one that got his hands on it, but had it knocked away.
Yeah, I think that should probably be a drop because it looked like he got into the body of Torini, but Luke Phelan had the coverage right behind him, so probably going to get credited with the breakup there. But the way that play developed, you thought one of those two was taken off deep, and then the other one would fill in underneath, but they end up in the exact same spot.
Kyle Carter comes in for Will Smith, gets the handoff, works to the right side. He's got room, working forward, stays on his feet, and makes a nice gain. of 8 yards.
Yeah, I think that's Jack Allen, 28, not Carter, 29, and it is. That's a nice run by Allen, who we kind of called his name for not getting the head turned on that near interception. Just a patient run, and he sees a crease, and he's able to get it up into 3rd and 4 down to the 22.
So now Allen does come off, and Carter comes on. And they will give Allen 6 yards on that run, so it's 3rd and 4. Snap, the handoff is to Carter. Carter with speed breaks through the first level, carries a tackler inside the 10-yard line.
Again, we were keeping an eye on it earlier, but Hardin Simmons with the ball, 1st and 10 with 3:40 left in the game, leading by 2 at Mary Hardin Baylor. And that's, again, the ramifications of that one are massive if that continues to hold, because Wheaton's going to have a shot at the number 1 seed heading into the postseason if they're able to win out, which this is, looking at the records of the teams they have left, this is the biggest challenge left on the schedule for the Thunder.
1st and goal from the 8-yard line. Handoff, working to the outside, shrugging off one tackle, and Carter gets down to just about the 2-yard line. Looked like he might have been able to power through the 3rd broken tackle, but he's just finally brought down. You see him here breaking through the line, a stiff arm there, shakes off the tackle, and just works his way up. Actually runs into the back of Torini there, which makes him lose a little bit of speed. But gets down to the 2-yard line, 2nd and goal.
Yeah, here's Tucker. Only the 2nd time we've seen this package today, which is a little surprising given the ball's this wet, and you should be able to run the ball pretty well with his speed and athleticism.
This time it is a handoff, and diving into the end zone to score is Kyle Carter. Touchdown Thunder, bringing the score to 32-0.
And the first touchdown of that young man's career.
11:19 left in this game. Bose will come up to try to extend the lead a little more, up to 33, but that's just a straight-up plunge up the middle for Carter. Kick is good by Bose, 33-0. The Thunder lead the Augustana Vikings with 11:19 to go here in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, and I'd expect that to be the last we see of the Wheaton ones on offense today. Really no need, up 33-0. You've got this thing pretty well in hand.
And so as Augustana looks to come out for their first drive of the 4th quarter, they will be going with the wind now for the first time since quarter number 1. And so they will be eager to maybe get something going here. We've seen a little more run-oriented attack with Jacobs in there as they've been going against the wind here in the 2nd and 3rd quarters. We'll see if they opt to keep Fuller on the field for a larger percentage of this drive as they maybe look to gain yards through the air with the wind at their backs.
It's worth noting that if Hardin Simmons is able to pull this off, it certainly presents some struggles for North Central, because that adds a really talented team into the Pool C mix. Usually both of these two teams are pretty well locked to make the tournament. But Hardin Simmons already has a loss. They lost earlier this year at Texas Lutheran. So if they're able to claim that bid, and Mary Hardin Baylor, as we see, a really good tackle from Carter. If you're able to score a touchdown, make a tackle, have a day, kid. If you're putting Mary Hardin Baylor into the Pool C mix, all of a sudden North Central's got some questions to be asked of their resume.
That was Cannon on the return, and you see Carter just flying in and able to swipe the legs of Cannon to pin them deep back within the 20.
Bethel continues to lead pretty handily at Concordia Moorhead. They're going to have to beat St. Thomas, but if Bethel stays on the board with one loss, their resume is pretty strong. I don't know that they can get left out. And North Central's strength of schedule with Christopher, the CCIW is down. Illinois Wesleyan not beating La Crosse really hurt the rest of the conference. And if that loss in itself could end up keeping North Central at home, potentially in the playoffs, given that their strength of schedule is so poor because their non-conference opponent was Christopher Newport, who has had a pretty poor year.
That's a run there by Antonio Cannon. He gets up to gain about 5, and we saw the handoff come from Alec Jacobs, so he's out here to start this drive on the field. 2nd and 5 from the 23. Another handoff.
Really good play by Pat O'Connell. He holds that block all the way. He's working against the right tackle, Andrew Anderson, but he's just going to hold him in place so Cannons doesn't have a chance to make a read here. He holds him right there, and Schwartz turns him around, and right there is River Schindeldecker to drag him down. That's just great team defensive play all the way across the front there for the Thunder. O'Connell sets that tackle up for River Schindeldecker.
Loss of 1, 3rd and 6 with 10 minutes to go in the quarter. Jacobs stays on the field. It's Cannon in the backfield with him. Dropping back and taken down is River Schindeldecker.
Yeah, River runs through it right there, and he runs right through the quarterback, Alec Jacobs, who never stood a chance there. Schindeldecker just in easy. That's a breakdown in protection. He should have been passed to the inside, and instead James Cousin helps on the wrong guy. And that's 3.5 sacks now for River Schindeldecker, who's making a pretty strong case for CCIW Defensive Team of the Week, Player of the Week, and maybe the D3Football.com Team of the Week.
Little competition there on the D line, never hurt anybody. Now a low snap, one bounce. This one's kicked away. It's well past the 50, and you can see the help of the wind there on that punt.
Really good coverage by J.J. Servino there.
.9:18 left to go, and you see Nichols gets it here, but he's brought down by 2 Augustana defenders, notably Servino.
Yeah, Nichols thought he had set up a lane for himself, but Servino's a good enough athlete. He closed that down pretty quick, and a little surprised that Wheaton's sending the ones back out for another possession here.
Yep, so it's still Anthony under center. It's still Smith in the backfield. We've got Torini down at the bottom of your screen. Nichols and Lean up top under center. Will Smith strings this one out to the outside, and he's hit hard, brought down after a gain of 2. You don't normally see Smith bounce back after a hit, but he kind of bounced back off of, let's see who it is here. Looks like number 29, that's Capel. Second and 8 for the Thunder as the clock's now below 9 minutes. And Smith and Anthony stay out on the field. Anthony once more up to Smith, and Smith just putting his head down, going straight through the line, plunging ahead for possibly 1 or 2.
Yeah, it's not going to be pretty for the rest of the game, but it's just going to be hand the ball off and let him go. This will be Wheaton's worst running game of the year statistically. But Augustana's been stacking the box pretty good.
Now let's see who we've got in the backfield. It looks like it's number 12, Magnuson, in the backfield there with Anthony. Looking to the right. That ball's tipped at the line. Still completed.
Boy, that's a nice job to fight back for that football. But no surprise, it's Nichols.
Yep.
Servino's all over him. But he bails out his quarterback there.
Let's see who gets a hand on it. Yep, right on the outside.
And Servino's got a hand in the way of Nichols, too. That's just strong hands to secure that ball.
But that makes it 4th and 3 despite the completion. So Bickle will trot back out onto the field. And once again, he'll have an opportunity to pin Augustana deep, although he is kicking into the wind this time. Back to Bickle. Makes contact at the 50. Puts it to the right side. Fair catch right at the 10-yard line.
Yeah, he's been teed up by Egbert once. Once is enough already, so that's a smart, fair catch.
Yep, Capel just waves his hand for that one, and so Augustana will take over with 7 minutes and 12 seconds to go.
There is a flag
down.
yeah, right in front of the Augustana sideline. All right, so it's worth keeping an eye on down in Texas. Mary Hardin Baylor taking over on, looks like their own 47 with 1:17 left. Actually, it's the Hardin-Simmons 47. They just need a field goal if they can get it.
We'll get a chance to see here what the flag is for, as you see an official coming over to the Thunder sideline. Coach Swider doesn't look happy.
I wonder if they've got illegal formation again.
Illegal formation,
Yep.
5 minute backfield, kicking team. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, 4th down.
Something's got to be off. Either Wheaton's made a mistake in understanding the rule, even though Mike Swider seems to think that it's being misinterpreted because they're putting a man in motion, and he's been hot at the officials both times they've called that.
Right, and it's got to be that man in motion because that's the only time it's been called is on the 2 times that they did send the guy across. And so there's obviously some disconnect there. Bickle will now be moved back and forced to punt again.
It's a pretty good punt into the wind, too.
Yeah.
That just got wasted.
He put that one at the 10. We'll see where he can drop this one
You
in.
see Tayshaun Gibbs gesturing hard. I am on the line of scrimmage to the near official.
This one's sent up, fielded at the 15. And the kick coverage team does a nice job bringing him down at the 20.
Yeah, good tackle by Egbert there right at the 20.
And so the 5-yard penalty costs you 10 yards on the punt. So rather than starting at the 10, Augustana will start at the 20. 7 minutes and 5 seconds will be how much time Augustana starts this drive with. Once again, they're working with the wind. We didn't see them really utilize that at all on the last drive where we saw just a couple handoffs. Jacobs comes back out as the quarterback.
Yeah, Wheaton's keeping this number 1 defense on the field. Mike Swider was a little peeved by the way that ended last week with WashU keeping their 1s in against Wheaton's 3s in order to get a score. So they stick with their 1s.
Handoff outside or up the middle, excuse me, is the fake to Cannon. Jacobs kept it and moved forward, gaining 7 yards.
Given the weather today, a little surprised to see that we haven't seen a turnover since that first play from scrimmage. The Luke Anthony interception is the only one we've seen.
We almost had one here on the sideline that was ultimately kind of batted around and then dropped, but no fumbles or anything of that sort. Ball security, obviously a priority of both of these teams in a game like this. Jacobs this time does hand off to Cannon. And Cannon works his way past the first down marker and makes a nice gain past the 35-yard line. Corey Kennedy on the tackle. And you see it here. Talk about patience. This is him just working his way nimbly through this hole, working back outside and then inside again until he's finally brought down.
Yeah, that's just the 4th first down in the game for Augustana.
Fuller back out on the field for this Vikings offense. He'll drop back to pass. And the ball's loose.
And that'll be a turnover.
And there it is.
Jake Holliday picks up the football at the Augustana 27-yard line.
And I'm not sure Fuller was hit. I think just as he brought the ball back,
he just
slipped out of his hand.
Yeah, it just as he loaded up, the ball wasn't in his hand, and Holliday with an easy scoop there.
And so the Thunder starting out with great field position here.
Boy, look, you've got to look out. Mary Hardin Baylor's got 4th down. They're rushing the field goal unit on. I don't know if they're going to get the ball snapped. They snap it with 1. The field goal for the win for Mary Hardin Baylor is good. Unbelievable finish in Belton. Unbelievable finish for Mary Hardin Baylor.
Back on the field, a terrible snap. Just dribbles along the ground. Tucker has no choice but to fall on it, but it'll be a loss of 4 yards for the Thunder, and that one just never got into the air.
That's a kick that's going to be heard all the way in Naperville because, man, North Central's postseason hopes were on the respirator there for a second. If Mary Hardin Baylor drops into the Pool C conversation, they're in trouble. And it looks like for now, Mary Hardin Baylor, even though they're trying to sort some stuff out, but to figure that game out before they can wrap it up.
Handoff up the middle from Tucker and then pushing the pile up ahead. We'll see where they mark the forward progress stopped. That's number 28. Jack Allen on the run. And so now we do see Wheaton's 1s off the field, or at least some of them. Nichols is still out there, but we have replaced Anthony and Smith.
Yeah, that's good. Continue to get Jeremiah Tucker as many snaps as you can. I'm a little surprised they haven't worked that package a little more today, given that he's a better running threat than Luke Anthony.
3rd and 7. in motion, but now Tucker opts to take himself, makes one man miss, another, and now works to bust through the line, gaining a first down.
That's exactly what I mean. That's just a design quarterback draw, and he's just so slippery. Just can't square him up.
He makes the first man miss here completely. Second guy gets maybe a hand on, and then working forward, he's finally brought down after evading a couple tackles, and now the Thunder are inside the 15-yard line. Tucker hands off to Allen once again. He busts up the hole, racing for the end zone, and he will step in for the touchdown. The Thunder score again, making it 39-0.
Yeah, that's another freshman running back. Allen getting his first career touchdown. So we've had 3 guys today getting their first career trip to the end zone. It's a nice run, just explosive. Once he got a little bit of room, as we see it here on the replay. Once that hole's there, boom, foot in the ground, and he's uphill.
Bows the chance to make it 40. And he does. It is clean through, and so the Thunder lead 40-8 with 4 minutes and 40-0, excuse me, with 4 minutes and 8 seconds to go in this game. We'll get to see the touchdown run once again.
Yeah, to sort things out, that kind of got hectic trying to squeeze that in between plays there down at the Mary Hardin-Simmons game. Mary Hardin-Baylor got tackled short of the first down, out of timeout, so they were facing 4th and 2 with about 15 or less seconds, and they had to run the field goal unit onto the field, set up, and get the kickoff. And that whole unit got out there in about 8 seconds. The snap was at 1, and it was just enough. Heck of a finish down there in Belton.
That's clutch without much of a setup there from the kicker, too. The Thunder set to kick things off here. Augustana looking back to receive. We've got time certainly for another drive here. But this is not what we probably expect the game to look like after this first quarter that we saw today.
No, not at all. I mean, that was Wheaton's worst 15 minutes of the season right out of the gates as we get a fair catch called for. Looked like by Cannon there. Wheaton's worst of the season to start this game, and Augustana had all the momentum, was playing better. And then as soon as Wheaton got the win at their back, it was really that safety that seemed to turn things around. The Schindeldecker safety where they forced and Fuller just lost awareness of where he was on the field. He backpedaled into his own end zone, got called for intentional grounding, and that was it.
Yeah, the Thunder scored first on the field goal with 5:53 left in the first quarter. And then the safety came with 11:55 to go in the second quarter. And after that, it broke open for a couple more touchdowns, bringing the score to 26-0. A short handoff here will lose yards for Augustana. Cannon is taken down.
Braden Anthony making the tackle for the Thunder there. Seeing some new guys on the field. Craig Shelton taking over at wide receiver for the Vikings. Not sure what. Got a man down there for the Vikings. That's Chaz Williams, the left tackle, was being shielded by the center who was standing right over him.
He will walk off under his own power. Similar situation to Schwartz earlier. Wasn't down for long and is walking, putting a good amount of pressure on that leg, it seems. Looks like we've got a new quarterback into the game as well for Augustana. It's number 4, Jacob Ware. Hand off to the outside to Cannon. Cannon makes one man miss and then gets dragged down from behind right at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, Ware, a senior from Bettendorf, Iowa, the brother of Justin Ware, the punter.
Yep. Cannon here, you see, getting ahead, and then it's a tackle by the shirt sleeve there.
Yeah, Grant Miller just holding on to whatever he can get a piece of. 3rd and 9 here for the Vikings.
Cannon in the backfield along with Ware. with 3:10 to go. Ware drops back to pass, looks over the middle, and hits his receiver who looks to work upfield. Finally gets brought down by 4 or 5 Thunder players.
Yeah, Nate Gers does a nice job of bringing him back to help here. He attacks in front of the wide receiver, makes him come to a stop, and defense just rallies to support as Luke Gamicha is able to finally make that tackle. Anthony coming from behind and bulldozing his way into the pile along with Fielding Davis.
It was Alex Avalos on the reception there, number 82, the senior. And so it'll be 4th and 6 with 2.5 minutes to go in the game. Another punt for Augustana. This one will be taken from, and it's bobbled and taken down hard is the punter Ware, and so the Thunder will start off another drive with great field position.
Yeah, it's Ben Locos, the running back, who ends up getting a pretty easy tackle there after it's fumbled.
You see it there, just coming right into the legs, and a good tackle will set the Thunder up with a 1st and 10 from the 17-yard line. So we'll see who the Thunder trot out here. It's going to be Tucker again, and looks like Allen in the backfield.
Yeah, and then you see you've got Brown and Tayshawn Gibbs out of the wide receiver spots with Gale and Miller at the tight end. Excuse me, that's McJunkin who's actually tight to the formation.
Handoff to Allen once again. A good tackle made there by number 52. That's Luke Sawicki.
Yeah, strong finish to this game for the Thunder after the initial 15-minute lag, it felt like. Certainly Augustana did a lot of things that they can feel good about. They've limited Wheaton's running game. They blocked the punt. It's going to be those short fields that they weren't able to take advantage of. When you're looking to get an upset, when you get a gift like that, you've got to capitalize. That's part of the upset recipe, is you've got to get a break somewhere. And you saw it last week with Illinois over Wisconsin. Illinois got the interception that set up the short field. When you get a turnover to set up a short field, you have to score points. And
high snap for the Thunder. Tucker falls on it as it's over his head.
Augustana not being able to get points when they start a drive at Wheaton's 27-yard line. It's those wasted opportunities ultimately will come back and haunt you. And at the time, they would have given him the lead, or at least pulled them even at 3-3. But then that one that went off the uprights as well, just missed opportunities. You can't waste opportunities on the road in the CCIW.
Clock is going to tick right down to about a minute before this ball is snapped. 3rd down and 22. So the Thunder will probably take as much time as they can here. And with about 5 on the play clock, Tucker will actually wait until about 2. Handoff now, and stumbling but working his way upfield is Allen. Allen, a great run as he carries the pile. Forward progress is going to stop right around 20, and that'll be a good 10-yard gain.
Yeah, and Wheaton's got to feel good about the way they're closing this game, because they're doing it with their number 2s on offense against Augustana starters. And these freshman running backs, that's a heck of a cut to make by Allen on a track like this, to be able to jump back and away from David Lane and get another extra couple yards.
So 21 on the play clock, 26 on the game clock.
It seems to be some indecision on what they're doing here.
Yeah.
I would assume
with a 5-second differential.
Yeah, Wheaton's got the one timeout left. I don't know that you use it. You might just take the penalty. And they do.
Yep.
And then they send their offense back onto the field, so.
Delay game. Offense, number 3, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
It's a way of ensuring that you're not picking up that 1st down, because you're going to run a play anyhow, because it's going to bring the game to an end. And actually, Wheaton's just going to use a delayed knee here. I would assume that Tucker just kind of stands up for a second, back pedals, and waits. The hard part is he can't see the scoreboard to know when to take the knee.
Right, he's got the play clock on the other side of the field, but all that reads is 25. He really only needs 4 seconds.
And maybe some home clock keeping can drag this thing out a little bit. Waiting.
with maybe 1 or 2?
Yeah, I think he took it with 1, but I think the officials are wisely gonna let that go.
And so that is the final score of today's game. 40-0, the Thunder get the win over Augustana. The 5th-ranked Wheaton Thunder move ahead to 7-0, 6-0 in the CCIW. Augustana falls to 4-3, 3-3 in the CCIW. So after the slow first quarter, the Thunder able to come out and score, finally bringing the score to 40-0. Much more lopsided game than what things at first looked like they may be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that the final score tells the whole story of this game. Wheaton obviously gets a convincing win, and that is true in itself. But Augustana a lot closer than 40 points in this game. And look at the final numbers. Wheaton with 341 yards of total offense. They hold the Vikings to 115. So that's back-to-back years that they've held the Vikings to under 140 yards of total offense. However, both of those games have come in pretty adverse conditions. Last year with such a wind-aided game, and then this year with the rain and also the wind. Augustana held to 115 yards. They averaged 1.9 yards per play. Wheaton 4.67. 341 yards is their lowest single-game output of the season. Looking at the individuals for the Vikings, Zach Fuller, 8 of 18 for 66 yards. Jacobs, 1 of 3 for 7. And Weir completes the one pass for 3 yards. Their leading receiver was Ethan Jennings, 2 for 36. Leading rusher was Jacobs, 8 for 45. And a lot of that coming on that 40-yard scamper late in the first half. They hold Jarris, who was averaging 98 yards a game. They hold him to 14 carries for 11 yards. A pretty impressive game in run defense by both teams, actually. For Wheaton, Luke Anthony, 12 of 23, 186 yards, 2 touchdowns. He throws an interception for the second straight week. But he does throw 2 touchdowns. He was sacked 3 times. Nichols, 6 catches, 75 yards. Torini, 2 for 74 and a touchdown. Magnuson, 1 32-yard touchdown catch. And then also catches by Miller, Lean, and Williams. Will Smith, their leading rusher, 16 for 51. TJ Williams, 8 for 45. Jack Allen, 5 for 38 and a touchdown. Kyle Carter, 3 for 22 and a touchdown. Jeremiah Tucker, 2 for 11 and a touchdown. So all in all, a pretty one-sided game. The leading defender for Wheaton, obviously, was River Schindeldecker. He only had 6 tackles, but 4 of them were solos, and 3.5 of them were sacks. He gets 32 yards in tackle for loss yardage, which is pretty impressive for Schindeldecker. 30, and then Dallas McRae had half a sack, combining with Schindeldecker for the other. So pretty impressive day for the Thunder defense. They do the job, and most importantly, they take care of business in what was the biggest hurdle remaining in their schedule. They'll go to Carroll. Carroll heading down to North Park, and it looks like they're going to get a victory. That'll be their first of the year in the CCIW, and actually of the season, that'll be their first of the year. They won their non-conference game over Lakeland, so they'll go to 2-5 on the year, but 1-5 in the CCIW. So they go to Carroll next week. They'll come back and host Carthage, who gets shellacked by North Central today, and then they will head to Elmhurst to finish the season. Elmhurst just 1-4 with a road win over Carroll.
We want to thank you for joining us throughout the afternoon today. 40-0 the final. Once again, for everyone here at the Wheaton Thunder Sports Network, I'm Abram Erickson with Rusty Lindsay. Thanks to our production team, Sunrise Communications. Have a great day.